Welcome back to the channel. Over the years, we've taken deep dives into the untold stories of musicians, YouTubers, wrestlers, and even law enforcement, peeling back the curtain to reveal the jaw-dropping truths behind their picture-perfect lives. And now, by popular demand, we're turning the spotlight on Hollywood. Today, we're diving into the dark side of fame, exposing the shocking scandals, twisted secrets, and chilling downfalls of actors who've taken the ultimate fall from grace. Buckle up, this one's going to be a wild ride. Joe Sun may not be a household name, but to fans of the 1997 cult comedy Austin Powers, International Man of Mystery, he is best known as Random Task, a comedic parody of the classic James Bond villain Oddjob. Born in South Korea in 1970 and raised in California, Sun found his calling in martial arts, eventually developing his own hybrid style known as Jo Sun Do. His impressive physique and unique fighting techniques drew attention from the start, even earning him a spot in the early days of the UFC, although his only appearance at UFC FV 4 ended in defeat. With his combination of athleticism and comedic timing, he briefly transitioned into acting, landing his most notable role in Austin Powers, where his character's weapon of choice, a throwing shoe, became a fan-favorite running gag. But Sun's time in the spotlight wouldn't last. In 2008, more than a decade after his big screen debut, Jo Sun's life took a dark and unexpected turn. He was arrested on a misdemeanor charge, but during the booking process, his DNA was matched to evidence from a brutal 1990 gang attack that had remained unsolved for nearly 2 decades. The news shocked the public and painted a much darker picture of the man behind the comedic role. Things only got worse. While serving his sentence, Jo Sun was involved in a deadly brawl with his cellmate, Michael Thomas Graham, and in 2017, he was convicted of second-degree assault. The conviction tarnished his reputation not as a fighter or an actor, but as a violent criminal. Danny Masterson rose to fame in the early 2000s as Stephen Hyde, the laid-back, sharp-witted rebel on the hit sitcom That 70s Show. With his deadpan humor and effortless cool, Masterson quickly became a fan favorite, helping the show become a pop culture staple. Born in 1976 in Long Island, New York, he started his career young, appearing in commercials before transitioning to TV and film. Outside of acting, Masterson also found success as a DJ under the name DJ Mom Jeans, gaining attention for his offbeat style and charm. But behind the scenes, troubling allegations would eventually unravel his public image. In the early 2000s, multiple women came forward accusing Masterson of sexual misconduct, with incidents dating back to between 2001 and 2003. As the Me Too movement gained momentum in 2017, the case drew widespread media attention, especially given Masterson's connection to the Church of Scientology. Critics and accusers claimed the organization worked to silence victims and cover up the allegations, raising concerns about power, influence, and justice in Hollywood. While Masterson continued to work most notably in Netflix's The Ranch, public pressure mounted. In 2020, he was officially charged, though he maintained the encounters were consensual. The trial began in 2023, and emotional testimony from the victims laid bare the immense psychological toll they endured, shedding light on the many challenges survivors face when confronting influential figures. In May 2023, Masterson was convicted on 2 of 3 counts, and by September, he was sentenced to 30 years to life in prison. The case became a defining moment in Hollywood's ongoing reckoning with abuse, accountability, and power. Shannon Richardson, a name once familiar to fans of hit shows like The Walking Dead and The Vampire Diaries, was on her way to becoming a standout in Hollywood's supporting cast. But behind the red carpets and camera flashes, a much darker story was unfolding. In 2013, the rising actress made headlines for all the wrong reasons when she was arrested in a chilling criminal case that shocked both Hollywood and Washington. Richardson was charged with sending letters laced with the deadly toxin ricin to then-President Barack Obama, New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg, and other high-profile figures. The nation was stunned. What started as an anonymous threat quickly became a high-priority investigation once authorities uncovered the poisoned letters. The act wasn't just dangerous, it was calculated and deeply disturbing. When caught, Richardson tried to pin the blame on her husband, but the evidence was overwhelming. Her fingerprints, her computer data, her plan. In July 2014, she was sentenced to 18 years in federal prison. Jeffrey Jones may not be a household name, but his face is etched in pop culture history. With standout roles in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Beetlejuice, and Amadeus, Jones became known for playing eccentric, often authoritative characters with a perfect balance of humor and edge. Trained at the London Academy of Music and Dramatic Art, he built a steady career through the 80s and 90s, becoming a favorite among directors like Tim Burton. Whether portraying the laughably strict Principal Rooney or the quirky Charles Dietz, Jones had a gift for stealing scenes and leaving a lasting impression. But behind the acclaim was a dark chapter waiting to unfold. In 2002, Jones's career took a dramatic turn when he was arrested on charges related to inappropriate conduct with a minor. The investigation uncovered disturbing evidence, sending shockwaves through Hollywood. A year later, Jones pled guilty, receiving 5 years probation, mandatory counseling, and lifetime registration as a sex offender. The revelation not only stunned fans and colleagues, it effectively ended his career. Following the scandal, the once celebrated character actor saw his roles dry up. Studios distanced themselves, and audiences struggled to separate the actor from his actions. Though his earlier performances had earned him a respected place in film history, the severity of his crimes overshadowed everything. Shelley Malil may not be a household name, but fans of the 2005 comedy hit The 40-Year-Old Virgin will remember him for his standout performance as Hayes, an eccentric, witty co-worker who provided some of the film's most memorable comedic moments. Born in 1964 in Kerala, India, Malil moved to the United States as a child and grew up in Texas, where he developed a passion for acting through local theater. In the early 90s, he moved to Hollywood, facing a difficult path in an industry where few Indian American actors had a chance. However, his talent and perseverance earned him roles on major television shows like NYPD Blue, The West Wing, and Scrubs. But it was The 40-Year-Old Virgin that really put him on the map, sharing screen time with rising stars like Steve Carell, Paul Rudd, and Seth Rogen. While the film propelled many of his co-stars to A-list status, Malil's career took a nosedive, and in 2008, his career came to a violent and tragic end. On August 10 of that year, he shocked the public by brutally attacking his ex-girlfriend, Kendra Beebe, at her home in San Marcos, California. She survived the attack, but suffered severe physical and mental trauma. The incident marked a dark and irreversible turn in Malil's life, erasing any trace of his comedic on-screen persona and leaving the world stunned by the contrast between his public image and his private actions. Neighbors called the police after hearing the commotion, and Malil was quickly arrested and charged with attempted murder and assault with a deadly weapon. During the trial, prosecutors painted a picture of a calculated and brutal attack, arguing that Beebe's injuries reflected a level of intentionality that was frightening. Malil, who claimed he had lost control in a fit of rage, was eventually convicted in 2010 and sentenced to 12 years to life in prison. Michael Jace was once a respected character actor, best known for his gripping portrayal of LAPD officer Julian Lowe on the critically acclaimed TV series The Shield. With a commanding presence and a quiet intensity, Jace often played characters who carried authority and emotional weight. He had a small but memorable role in Forrest Gump, 1994, showcasing his range early on, but it was The Shield beginning in 2002 that cemented his status in Hollywood. His portrayal of a devout, conflicted police officer earned praise for its depth and complexity, and Jace was widely recognized for bringing authenticity and vulnerability to the screen. Behind the scenes, however, Jace's personal life was unraveling. Despite his on-screen success, he faced mounting financial difficulties, filing for bankruptcy in 2011 with debts exceeding $500,000. These pressures, combined with ongoing tension in his marriage to April Jace, created a volatile home environment. Then, on May 19, 2014, that tension exploded into tragedy. In a fit of rage, Jace fatally shot his wife at their Los Angeles home, an act of violence witnessed by their 2 young children. The crime sent shockwaves through both the entertainment industry and the public, as fans struggled to reconcile the actor they admired with the man behind the headlines. After his arrest, Jace confessed to the shooting during a chilling 911 call. Prosecutors presented a strong case during his 2016 trial, revealing a history of domestic abuse and arguing that the murder was not just impulsive, but calculated. While the defense claimed emotional distress drove his actions, the jury convicted Jace. He was sentenced to 40 years to life in prison. The tragedy devastated his family, particularly his sons, who effectively lost both parents in one horrific night. Michael Jace's story stands as a heartbreaking reminder of how unchecked emotional turmoil and personal demons can destroy lives, even those once illuminated by fame. Ryan Grantham was once considered a rising star in Canadian film and television. Born in 1998 in British Columbia, he began acting at a young age and quickly gained attention for his expressive acting. His early roles included shows like Supernatural, Zombie, and Unspeakable. He also appeared in the beloved family film Diary of a Wimpy Kid as Rodney James, a minor but memorable character. But behind the scenes, Grantham's life was falling apart. He reportedly struggled with severe mental health issues, including depression and anxiety, which began to affect his relationships and cloud his outlook on the future. Those close to him noticed that he became increasingly withdrawn, had erratic behavior, and showed signs of emotional distress. As his internal struggles grew, they began to overshadow his career. Tragically, those battles came to a head on March 31, 2020, when Grantham committed a horrific act. He shot and killed his mother, Barbara Waite, at their home in Squamish, British Columbia. After the incident, he loaded his car with weapons and supplies, allegedly planning to continue the violence by targeting Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Fortunately, he changed his route and turned himself into police, confessing to the crime. Grantham's arrest and the disturbing details that followed shocked the public and shone a light on the dangers of untreated mental illness. In 2022, he went on trial for second-degree murder. Prosecutors presented evidence that the crime was premeditated, including video recordings and journal entries in which he rehearsed the crime. The defense argued that Grantham's mental state, particularly his depression and disconnect from reality, played a major role in the tragedy. Despite expressing remorse, Grantham was convicted and sentenced to life in prison, with the possibility of parole after 14 years. Skyler Deleon, born on August 12, 1979 in Sun Valley, California, once dreamed of stardom. As a child actor, he landed a small role in the beloved TV series Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, but his time in the spotlight was brief. As the roles dried up and the dream faded, Deleon found himself struggling financially and emotionally. The pressures of adulthood, coupled with the frustration of a failed Hollywood career, began to take a toll, and slowly, his ambitions twisted into something far darker, driven not by fame, but by desperation and greed. In 2004, Deleon, along with his wife Jennifer Henderson and two accomplices John Fitzgerald Kennedy and Alonzo McCain, carried out a horrifying plan. Posing as interested buyers, they lured retired couple Thomas and Jackie Hawks aboard their yacht, the well-deserved, under the pretense of purchasing it. Once out at sea, the group attacked the Hawks, forced them to sign over ownership of the boat, and then carried out an unthinkable act. They tied the couple to an anchor and threw them overboard alive. The case made national headlines, with the sheer cruelty of the act horrifying the public. In 2008, Skyler Deleon was sentenced to death for the murders of Thomas and Jackie Hawks, while his accomplices also received lengthy prison sentences. What began as a pursuit of fame ended in infamy, and Deleon's story now stands as a haunting example of how far unchecked greed and personal failure can drive someone. The pain left behind for the Hawks family is immeasurable, a tragic reminder of the real human cost behind such monstrous actions. Born in Des Moines, Iowa, in 1947, Stephen Collins pursued acting from a young age, honing his craft at prestigious institutions and establishing himself on stage before making the leap to film and television. His ability to shift effortlessly between dramatic and comedic roles helped him stand out in Hollywood, earning parts in notable films like Star Trek, the motion picture, Jumpin' Jack Flash, and The First Wives Club. By the mid-1990s, Collins had become a respected and familiar face in the industry. But it was in 1996, with the premiere of Seventh Heaven, that he reached household name status. On Seventh Heaven, Collins played Reverend Eric Camden, the moral and compassionate patriarch of a large family. The show resonated with audiences for its focus on faith, family values, and life's everyday challenges. Over 11 seasons, Collins's character became a staple of family-friendly programming, a trusted fatherly figure known for wisdom, integrity, and unwavering guidance. But in 2014, that carefully built image collapsed. During a legal dispute, past allegations of sexual misconduct involving minors were brought to light, shattering public perception. Though the statute of limitations prevented legal prosecution, the revelations were deeply disturbing and sparked widespread outrage. Collins admitted to inappropriate behavior and expressed remorse, but the fallout was immediate and severe. He lost professional opportunities, and reruns of Seventh Heaven were pulled from several networks. Fans struggled to reconcile the wholesome Reverend Camden with the man behind the scenes. Ultimately, the scandal ended Collins's career and tarnished the legacy of a show once seen as a beacon of family values. Sean Combs, widely known by his stage name Diddy, has long been a towering figure in music, business, and entertainment. With a career that spans decades, he's earned acclaim not only for his chart-topping hits, but also for ventures into fashion, film, and television, including a role in the 2014 sports drama Draft Day. Once celebrated for his influence, charisma, and success, Combs is now at the center of a rapidly unfolding scandal that has cast a dark shadow over his once glittering public image. On September 16, 2024, he was arrested at a New York hotel, facing a wave of serious federal charges, including sex trafficking, racketeering, and transporting individuals for prostitution. According to the indictment, which outlines alleged criminal activity dating back to 2009, Combs is accused of operating a criminal enterprise that systematically exploited women through coercion, manipulation, and intimidation. Prosecutors claim he used his status, threats, and even drugs to maintain control over victims while presenting a polished public persona to the world. Despite the gravity of the charges, Combs has pleaded not guilty, with his legal team insisting that he is the target of a politically motivated and unjust prosecution. Diddy has remained vocal in his denial of all allegations, maintaining his innocence as the case continues to unfold. However, prosecutors have presented deeply disturbing evidence, including the discovery of weapons and large quantities of lubricants during searches of his properties, alongside testimony and claims of long-term abuse and coercion. Twice denied bail, Combs is currently being held at the Metropolitan Detention Center under special observation for his safety. If convicted, he faces a potential sentence ranging from 15 years to life in prison. Yeong-su, best known for his unforgettable portrayal of Player One in the global phenomenon Squid Game, experienced a meteoric rise to international fame following the show's success in 2021. His performance as the seemingly frail yet wise elder captured audiences worldwide, ultimately earning him a historic Golden Globe Award, the first for a Korean actor in the supporting role category. But just as his career reached new heights, became embroiled in a serious legal controversy that would cast a lasting shadow over his legacy. In late 2021, a woman accused him of sexual misconduct stemming from an encounter in 2017, bringing intense public scrutiny to the 79-year-old actor's newfound fame. According to reports, the woman filed an official complaint, alleging that had made unwanted advances. Initially, the case was dismissed by police due to insufficient evidence. However, it was reopened in 2022 under renewed investigation. Denied the allegations, claiming he had only brushed the woman's hand unintentionally and that his actions were neither deliberate nor sexual. While he expressed regret if his behavior had been misinterpreted, he firmly maintained his innocence throughout the legal process. Despite this, the South Korean Ministry of Culture, Sports, and Tourism halted a promotional campaign featuring amid the controversy, signaling the significant public backlash the case had stirred. In March 2024, South Korean prosecutors formally charged Yeong-su with indecent assault, a charge that, under Korean law, involves non-consensual sexual acts without physical coercion. He was ultimately sentenced to 8 months in prison, though the sentence was suspended for 2 years. Additionally, he was ordered to complete 40 hours of sexual violence education. The verdict marked a dramatic and sobering turn in the actor's long career. Once celebrated for embodying humility and wisdom on screen, now faces a legacy complicated by scandal-raising broader conversations about fame, accountability, and the consequences of personal actions, even late in life. Bill Cosby was once one of the most beloved and influential figures in American entertainment. Born in Philadelphia in 1937, he grew up in a working-class family and used humor as a tool to connect with others. After serving in the U.S. Navy and studying at Temple University, Cosby found his true calling in stand-up comedy. By the early 1960s, he had become a household name, charming audiences with relatable stories about everyday life. In 1965, Cosby shattered racial barriers by becoming the first Black actor to star in a primetime network drama, I Spy, a role that earned him 3 consecutive Emmy Awards. He continued to shape pop culture with Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids in the 1970s, and in 1984, he launched The Cosby Show, which portrayed a successful Black family with warmth, humor, and integrity. But behind the wholesome image was a disturbing truth. Allegations of sexual misconduct against Cosby dated back as far as the 1960s, though they were largely ignored or silenced due to his fame and influence. The first major public accusation came in 2005 when Andrea Constand, a Temple University employee, accused Cosby of drugging and assaulting her. Although that case was settled out of court, it opened the door for dozens more women to come forward. In 2014, comedian Hannibal Buress reignited public scrutiny with a viral stand-up bit that challenged Cosby's reputation, prompting a tidal wave of over 60 women who shared eerily similar stories of being drugged and sexually assaulted by Cosby over several decades. What followed was a cultural reckoning that became a defining moment in the growing Me Too movement. In 2015, Cosby was formally charged with aggravated sexual assault in the Constant case. His trial was seen as a landmark in the fight for justice against powerful men who had long evaded accountability. In 2018, he was convicted on 3 counts and sentenced to 10 years in prison. However, in a controversial turn, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court overturned his conviction in 2021, citing a previous agreement with prosecutors that should have prevented the charges. Though legally free, Cosby's reputation was irrevocably destroyed. Amy Locane, best known for her role on the hit 1990s series Melrose Place, stunned the public when her life took a tragic turn in 2010. While driving under the influence in New Jersey, Locane caused a devastating crash that killed 60-year-old Helen Seaman and seriously injured Helen's husband, Fred. Witnesses at the scene reported Locane's vehicle was speeding and appeared out of control before the fatal impact. A subsequent investigation revealed that her blood alcohol level was well above the legal limit. The incident shattered the lives of an innocent family and brought Amy Locane's once promising career to a sudden halt. In court, Locane expressed deep remorse for her actions, acknowledging the irreversible harm she had caused. Despite her emotional testimony, prosecutors argued that her recklessness had led to a completely avoidable tragedy. She was initially sentenced to 3 years in prison. However, the legal battle surrounding her sentencing dragged on for years, with multiple appeals and resentencings. Ultimately, her punishment was increased to reflect the severity of the crime and its devastating consequences. Amy Locane's story is a sobering reminder of how one poor decision, especially when involving alcohol and driving, can destroy lives in an instant. Once a rising star on television, her fall from grace serves as a cautionary tale about accountability, personal responsibility, and the fragility of fame. Will Hayden's fall from fame. Will Hayden, once known as the tough, straight-talking star of Sons of Guns, built a reputation as a firearms expert and TV personality. Leading Red Jacket Firearms, he gained a loyal audience who admired his craftsmanship, leadership, and larger-than-life presence on screen. For a time, he seemed like the embodiment of passion and skill in the world of firearms and reality television. But in 2014, his public image took a dramatic turn. Allegations surfaced that led to a broader investigation, uncovering deeply troubling behavior spanning several years. What began with a single report quickly expanded, with multiple individuals coming forward and contributing to the growing case. The contrast between his TV persona and the emerging details was staggering, leaving fans and the public in disbelief. In 2017, Hayden was convicted in court following extensive testimony and evidence. He received a life sentence, and Sons of Guns was promptly canceled. The rapid fall from fame was not just a personal downfall, but also a powerful reminder that appearances can be deceiving, and that no level of fame protects someone from facing serious consequences when the truth comes to light. From spotlight to cell, the Kaalan Walker scandal. Kaalan Walker, once a promising actor and rapper, gained attention for his role in the 2018 film Superfly. With undeniable talent and a burgeoning career, he seemed poised for stardom. However, in 2018, allegations surfaced accusing Walker of exploiting his celebrity status to take advantage of aspiring models and actresses. Prosecutors asserted that he used social media platforms to lure these individuals with promises of professional opportunities, only to betray their trust. During his high-profile trial, multiple victims testified, revealing a pattern of deceit and misconduct. The court proceedings shocked both the public and the entertainment industry. In October 2022, Walker was convicted on multiple charges and sentenced to 50 years to life in prison. The entertainment community, once supportive of his ascent, swiftly distanced itself. Fans and former colleagues expressed outrage not only at Walker, but also at the systemic failures that allowed his actions to persist unchecked. His downfall serves as a stark reminder of the potential for abuse of power within the industry and underscores the importance of vigilance and accountability. The rise and fall of Zachary Horwitz. Zachary Horwitz wasn't a household name, but in Hollywood circles, he was known as a rising actor and sharp-minded entrepreneur. Under the name Zach Avery, he played the part while appearing in indie films while presenting himself as a thriving film distributor and founder of One Inim Capital. From the outside, his world looked golden, sleek luxury cars, a $6 million LA mansion, VIP parties, and confident talk of lucrative film licensing deals with streaming giants like HBO and Netflix. Between 2014 and 2019, Horwitz managed to convince dozens of investors, many of them friends and colleagues from the entertainment world, that he was brokering international rights to major Hollywood films. The pitch was airtight, short-term loans with high returns, backed by forged contracts and confident updates. What they didn't know was that there were no real deals, no agreements with the studios, no actual profits. Behind the curtain was a $650 million Ponzi scheme. Horwitz used money from new investors to pay off earlier ones, keeping up appearances while the deception grew deeper. As the flow of new investments slowed, cracks began to show. Promised payments stalled, and uneasy questions started to emerge. In 2021, federal agents arrested Horwitz, and soon the full scale of the scheme was exposed. Court documents revealed just how elaborate the ruse had been and how much trust had been betrayed. In 2022, Horwitz was sentenced to 20 years in prison for securities fraud, ending a scheme that left hundreds of investors devastated. Welcome to Starscope, where today we're diving into a jaw-dropping lineup of actors who are currently rotting behind bars, and the shocking reasons why you'd never recognize them now. Once celebrated for their incredible talent, charm, and larger-than-life personas, these stars have become cautionary tales of fame gone wrong. From wild betrayals to legal battles that made headlines, their stories are a stark reminder of how quickly the spotlight can fade when poor choices take the stage. So buckle up as we pull back the curtain on their fall from grace, unravel their darkest moments, and uncover the powerful lessons hidden in their rise and crash. Let's dive in. Zachary Horwitz, better known by his stage name Zach Avery, wasn't making headlines for blockbuster films, but for pulling off one of the most brazen financial scams in Hollywood history. Between 2014 and 2019, Horwitz orchestrated a jaw-dropping $650 million Ponzi scheme, duping investors with promises of lucrative film licensing deals supposedly backed by entertainment giants like HBO and Netflix. The story had all the makings of a thriller, except this one was real. Behind the polished facade of a charming actor and smooth-talking entrepreneur lay a master manipulator spinning an intricate web of lies. Through his company, One Inim Capital, Horwitz preyed on trust-targeting friends, business partners, and unsuspecting acquaintances. He crafted fake emails, forged contracts, and recycled investor money to keep the illusion alive. While his victims believed they were investing in the next big cinematic success, Horwitz was funding a lifestyle straight out of a Hollywood dream: multi-million-dollar mansions, high-end sports cars, private jets, and lavish parties. But like every illusion, This one eventually shattered. When the money ran out and the returns stopped flowing, questions turned into investigations, and in 2021, federal agents came knocking. The scope of the fraud stunned even seasoned prosecutors. Convicted of securities fraud, Horwitz was sentenced to 20 years in federal prison in 2022. The fallout was devastating not just financially, but emotionally. Investors spoke of betrayal, ruined lives, and dreams crushed under the weight of deception. Zachary Horwitz's meteoric rise and catastrophic fall is a chilling reminder of what happens when ambition turns toxic. From a struggling actor to a convicted fraudster, his story is a Hollywood tragedy in the truest sense, a cautionary tale of greed, betrayal, and the high price of trust shattered. Michael Jace, who was praised for his stunning performance as Cop Julian Lowy on the hit series The Shield, is best known for his conflicted portrayal of a man who defends the law. But on May 19, 2014, Jace made a real-life confession that shocked fans and devastated his family. He called 911 to admit that he had fatally shot his wife, April Jace, inside their Los Angeles home. The tragedy unfolded in front of the couple's 2 young sons, turning a terrifying moment into lifelong trauma. As the investigation unfolded, a dark and painful story emerged. Financial stress, emotional instability, and simmering marital tensions created a storm that exploded into unimaginable violence. On that fateful evening, consumed by jealousy and rage, Jace confronted April furious, believing she was planning to leave him. Then came the haunting words in the courtroom, "If you want to run, run to heaven." Cold, cruel, and utterly chilling, the statement signaled not just intent, but a terrifying descent in darkness. In 2016, Jace was convicted of second-degree murder and sentenced to 40 years to life in prison. The news sent shockwaves through Hollywood, and beyond. How could a man known for his role as a protector be the perpetrator of such a brutal act? Behind the headlines and the proceedings was a deeper tragedy. 2 children must reconcile the memory of their parents with a night that shattered their world. Michael Jace's fall, from respected actor to convicted murderer, is a haunting cautionary tale, a stark reminder of how emotional turmoil and untreated family conflict can erupt into irreversible devastation. Shannon Richardson, once known for her small roles in The Walking Dead and The Vampire Diaries, shocked the nation in 2013 with a crime that destroyed her Hollywood image. The actress-turned-criminal became the center of a sensational scandal after being arrested for sending ricin-laced letters to President Barack Obama and prominent figures, including New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg. What seemed unimaginable for a woman who was known for her mild-mannered roles soon unraveled into a disturbing story of malice. Investigators found damning forensic evidence linking her to the crime fingerprints and materials connected to her personal computer. Desperate to avoid responsibility, Richardson attempted to frame her then-husband, but the overwhelming proof left no room for doubt. Her elaborate scheme not only endangered lives, but also exposed the psychological turmoil beneath her public image. The case gripped the nation, transforming Richardson from a little-known actress into a symbol of infamy. Public outrage was swift, and the media's unforgiving spotlight on her actions fueled a national frenzy. By July 2014, Richardson was sentenced to 18 years in federal prison, a harsh reminder of the gravity of her crimes. Her story is a chilling example of how even small fame can spiral into catastrophic consequences when personal turmoil collides with reckless choices. Today, Shannon Richardson's name is no longer tied to her acting career, but to a legacy of crime that left an indelible mark on the public conscience. Her fall from rising star to convicted felon serves as a powerful cautionary tale, underscoring the dark forces lurking behind Hollywood's glittering facade. Once hailed as a promising young talent with memorable roles in Riverdale and Diary of a Wimpy Kid, Ryan Grantham's future seemed bright until a horrific act turned his fame into infamy. In March 2020, the 21-year-old actor shocked the world when he shot and killed his own mother, Barbara, in cold blood at their British Columbia home. What happened next was even more chilling. Grantham calmly recorded a video confession showing a disturbing lack of remorse just minutes after the crime. But the nightmare didn't end there. Investigators soon discovered a darker twist. Grantham had plotted to assassinate the next Canadian Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau. Armed with guns, ammunition, and a detailed map, he began his deadly mission before eventually surrendering to police. During his trial, journalists painted a portrait of a young man tormented by severe mental illness, but they did not let that obscure the calculated nature of his crime. In 2022, Grantham was sentenced to life in prison, with no possibility of parole for 14 years. The verdict was clear. The horror of his actions demanded justice. Grantham's fall from rising star to convicted murderer is a haunting cautionary tale, a devastating reminder of what can happen when untreated mental health issues turn to violence. Once admired for his talent and potential, his name is now etched in tragedy, symbolizing the brutal collision of promise and darkness. William Hayden, once a firearms expert and reality star of the reality TV series Sons of Guns, built his public persona on trust, skill, and charisma. But in 2014, that carefully crafted image was shattered when he was accused of sexually assaulting a young girl. What began as a single shocking allegation quickly became a devastating pattern of abuse spanning years and involving multiple victims, including his own daughter. As investigators dug deeper, a dark truth emerged. Hayden used his position of power, whether as a mentor, father, or public figure, to groom and manipulate those closest to him. Medical evidence and harrowing testimony painted a horrifying picture. Behind the television spotlight was a predator who relished betrayal and control. Public outrage erupted as the revelations came to light. Sons of Guns was immediately dropped, and Hayden's legacy collapsed overnight. In 2017, he was convicted of rape and aggravated sexual assault and sentenced to life in prison without parole, with additional sentences added to ensure he would never walk free again. But the impact of his crimes went far beyond the headlines and courtroom drama. His victims were left to deal with the aftermath, grappling with deep emotional scars and shattered trust. William Hayden's downfall is not just a criminal case, but a chilling cautionary tale of how power can be wielded as a weapon behind a mask of respectability. A man once admired on national television is now remembered as a symbol of deception, betrayal, and the devastating cost of silence. Allison Mack, once adored for her role as the loyal and courageous Chloe Sullivan on the hit series Smallville, was a rising star in Hollywood, a fan favorite with charisma, talent, and a bright future. But behind the scenes, her journey took a dark and deeply unsettling turn. In a twist few could have predicted, Mack was revealed as a key figure in NXIVMA's so-called self-help organization that masked a far more disturbing reality, a secretive cult built on manipulation, coercion, and control. The revelation stunned fans and shook Hollywood to its core. Far from a passive participant, Mack had allegedly used her fame to lure aspiring women into the group, promising mentorship, empowerment, and career advancement. What they found instead was a system of exploitation where obedience was demanded, personal boundaries were shattered, and emotional and physical control was enforced under the guise of transformation. Court proceedings peeled back the curtain on Mack's true involvement. She wasn't just a recruiter, she was an enforcer. Emails and text messages showed her giving orders, branding recruits, and participating in a hierarchy of abuse. Faced with overwhelming evidence, Mack pled guilty to conspiracy charges. In 2021, she was sentenced to 3 years in prison. In court, she delivered an emotional apology, expressing regret for the pain she had caused and the trust she had betrayed. Her fall from grace wasn't just personal, it became symbolic. The scandal sparked a wider reckoning about the misuse of influence, the vulnerability of those seeking guidance, and how easily charisma can mask control. Once celebrated for portraying integrity on screen, Allison Mack's real-life role became a haunting cautionary tale about the seductive danger of unchecked power and blind trust. Her story reminds us that even the brightest stars can cast the darkest shadows. Drechsel, once hailed as the unbeatable champion of American Ninja Warrior, was the embodiment of strength, focus, and determination. With gravity-defying agility and undeniable charisma, he became a household name, an icon of perseverance who inspired millions across the nation. But in 2020, the image of the unstoppable athlete came crashing down in a scandal that rocked the world of sports entertainment. Shocking allegations of sexual misconduct surfaced, turning admiration into disbelief. As investigations unfolded, a disturbing pattern emerged linking Drechsel to inappropriate behavior that shattered the clean-cut, heroic persona he had so carefully crafted. Fans, networks, and sponsors were blindsided. This wasn't just the fall of a sports star, it was a gut-wrenching betrayal by someone once seen as a role model. The fallout was swift and unforgiving. Sponsors dropped him. His name vanished from broadcasts, and the very stage that once celebrated his triumphs became silent on his legacy. Courtroom proceedings further stained his reputation, transforming a decorated athlete into a disgraced figure of controversy. But beyond the headlines and legal documents lies a deeper reckoning, one that raises urgent questions about responsibility, influence, and the darker realities that can hide behind fame. Drechsel's collapse is more than a personal downfall. It's a stark warning that no level of physical prowess can excuse personal failure. Once admired as a symbol of strength and resilience, Drechsel now stands as a cautionary tale, a sobering reminder that true integrity isn't tested on a course, but in the choices made when no one's watching. Kaalan Walker, known to some as an actor and rapper, on the rise once stood on the edge of stardom. With appearances in major projects like Straight Outta Compton, his future seemed paved with possibility. But behind the glimmer of red carpets and industry buzz was a disturbing truth waiting to the surface. In 2018, Walker's world came crashing down when he was arrested on multiple counts of sexual assault charges that would not only destroy his career, but expose a pattern of predatory behavior that shocked even a scandal-wary Hollywood. As victims came forward, a chilling picture emerged. Walker had allegedly used his celebrity status as a lure, preying on aspiring models and actresses with promises of fame, mentorship, and career opportunities. Behind closed doors, however, those promises turned into manipulation, coercion, and abuse. During the trial, claims presented damning evidence, text messages, emails, and, most harrowingly, survivor testimony that laid bare the fear, silence, and psychological trauma his victims endured. Many of these women were disenchanted of professional ruin or public shaming, held hostage by the very system they had dreamed of succeeding in. Walker's conviction in 2022 on multiple counts of sexual assault sent shockwaves through the entertainment industry, igniting urgent conversations about power dynamics, consent, and accountability in a culture long plagued by silence. What was once the story of a rising star has become a cautionary tale of exploitation, deceit, and the dangerous misuse of influence. Kaalan Walker's fall from grace stands as a sobering reminder that fame is not a shield from justice, and that the voices of the silenced can, and must, rise louder than the spotlight. Joe Exotic-born Joseph Maldonado Passage burst into pop culture as the unforgettable star of the Netflix docuseries Tiger King, which became a global obsession. With his bleached mullet, sequined shirts, and outrageous antics, he looked like a character from a novel. But behind the glitz, tigers, and country ballads was a dark and dangerous truth. In 2019, the self-proclaimed Tiger King was arrested on shocking charges: attempted murder and a series of federal wildlife violations. The main cause of his legal downfall was his infamous feud with animal rights activist Carolee Baskin, a rivalry marked by public ridicule, accusations of abuse, and a twisted descent into obsession. That feud came to a head when Joe allegedly tried to hire a hitman to kill her. While the murder plot never materialized, investigators uncovered incriminating audio recordings and financial transactions that painted a damning picture. But that's only part of the story. Joe Exotic was also charged with killing 5 tigers and illegally trafficking endangered species revelations that shattered the myth of his animal lover persona. In 2020, he was convicted and sentenced to 22 years in federal prison, a shocking end to one of the strangest celebrity arcs in recent memory. Even behind bars, however, Joe remains a cult icon. His strange charisma has sparked petitions, fan campaigns, and even a failed attempt at a presidential pardon. His story is a whirlwind of fame, ego, and moral collapse, a strange cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked power, obsession, and the high price of ostentation. Once king of his own wild empire, Joe Exotic now serves as a surreal reminder of how fame can both elevate and destroy, and how thin the line between entertainment and tragedy can be. Skyler Deleon, a former child actor with a brief appearance on Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, seemed destined for a life in the spotlight. But what began as a flash of fame turned into something much darker, a descent into greed and manipulation that shocked the nation. In 2004, Deleon orchestrated one of the most grisly crimes in recent memory: the brutal murders of Thomas and Jackie Hawks, a retired couple living their dream of sailing the high seas. Posing as the buyer of the couple's yacht, Deleon used charm and deception to gain their trust. Under the guise of a test cruise, he and his accomplices lured the Hawks out to sea. Once out on the open sea, the nightmare began. The couple was tied up, forced to sign over ownership of the yacht, and then unbelievably tied to an anchor and thrown overboard alive. The cruelty and calculated nature of the act sent shockwaves across the country. During the trial, a mountain of incriminating evidence emerged: forged documents, chilling confessions, and emotional testimony that laid bare Deleon's methodical descent into darkness. In 2009, he was convicted of first and sentenced to death. His name, once forgotten in the introduction to a children's television show, is now etched into the annals of true crime history. Skyler Deleon's story is a haunting cautionary tale, a grim reminder that even the most innocent of beginnings can harbor unimaginable darkness. From the fleeting lights of Hollywood to the isolation of death row, his downfall is a stark reflection of how unchecked ambition, when twisted by greed and immorality, can lead to utterly evil acts. Zara Phythian, a gifted martial artist and actress best known for her role in Doctor Strange, once captured audiences with her strength, skill, and screen presence. With a career rooted in discipline and physical excellence, she seemed destined for lasting success. But in 2022, her promising trajectory came to a sudden and devastating halt when she and her husband, Victor Mark, were convicted on serious criminal charges involving a young individual. The revelation sent shockwaves through the entertainment industry, revealing a troubling contrast between her empowered public image and the reality behind the scenes. During the trial, a brave testimony from someone who had once looked up to Phythian brought painful truths to light. The individual described how trust had been manipulated over time, revealing a disturbing dynamic that unfolded over several years. Supporting evidence communications and corroborated accounts painted a damning picture that left little room for ambiguity about the seriousness of the situation. In the end, both Phythian and her husband were found guilty and received lengthy prison sentences, marking a disgraceful end to her career in the spotlight. Her fall ignited a broader conversation about the responsibilities that come with influence, especially in industries where authority figures often hold significant sway over those hoping to break in. Zara Phythian's downfall is a sobering reminder that public image can be deceiving. Her actions cast a shadow over her achievements and caused irreparable harm, permanently altering the legacy she once seemed destined to build. This case underscores the critical importance of accountability, vigilance, and protecting the most vulnerable in environments built on ambition and trust. Amy Locane, once a rising star celebrated for her breakout role on the hit series Melrose Place, had the world at her feet. But in 2010, her promising career and personal life took a devastating turn that would alter the course of many lives forever. That year, Locane was involved in a fatal car crash that claimed the life of 60-year-old Helene Seaman and left Helene's husband, Fred, gravely injured, a heartbreaking tragedy born from one reckless, irreversible decision. On that fateful evening, Locane got behind the wheel under the influence, with a blood alcohol level more than 3 times the legal limit. Witnesses described a harrowing scene, her car speeding, swerving erratically through suburban streets just moments before slamming into the Seaman's vehicle as they attempted to turn into their driveway. The impact was catastrophic, a quiet neighborhood transformed into a scene of unimaginable loss. Throughout the trial, Locane expressed deep remorse, acknowledging the pain her actions had caused. But prosecutors made it clear this was more than a tragic accident. It was a preventable act of negligence that took an innocent life. Though she was initially sentenced to 3 years in prison, public outcry and legal appeals led to a longer sentence that better reflected the severity of the crime. Amy Locane's story is a sobering cautionary tale, proof that one reckless choice can leave permanent scars. Once adored on television screens across America, her name is now inseparable from the consequences of drunk driving. Her fall from grace is a heartbreaking reminder of how quickly lives can be shattered when responsibility takes a back seat. Jared Fogle, once the unlikely face of a fast food revolution, rose to international fame as the inspirational spokesperson for Subway. His dramatic weight loss journey turned him into a household name, a symbol of willpower, health, and second chances. But behind the clean-cut image and motivational speeches, a far darker reality was brewing, one that would bring his meteoric rise to a crashing, disgraceful end. In 2015, the world was stunned when Fogle was arrested on deeply disturbing criminal charges. The investigation began with a tip from a colleague and quickly escalated into an extensive FBI probe. What authorities uncovered sent shockwaves across the nation, incriminating communications, digital evidence, and deeply unsettling materials that painted a horrifying picture of the man so many had admired. Courtroom testimony laid bare the truth, exposing Fogle's manipulative and exploitative behavior. Despite his courtroom apologies, the weight of his crimes could not be softened. In late 2015, Fogle was sentenced to 15 years in federal prison, a sentence that reflected not only the severity of his actions, but also the betrayal felt by the public who once saw him as a beacon of inspiration. The fallout was immediate and unforgiving. Subway severed all ties, and Fogle's name became synonymous with deception and disgrace. His actions left a trail of emotional devastation and sparked national conversations about trust, influence, and the dark possibilities lurking behind even the most polished public images. Jared Fogle's story stands as a chilling reminder that appearances can be dangerously misleading. Once a symbol of triumph over adversity, his legacy is now a cautionary tale about accountability, broken trust, and the devastating consequences of a double life. Harvey Weinstein, once the most powerful man in Hollywood, built an empire through Miramax Studios, producing Oscar-winning hits and launching countless careers. Behind the scenes, however, he wielded his influence not just to shape cinema, but to manipulate and control. In 2017, everything unraveled. Dozens of women, including A-list actresses, came forward with disturbing allegations of misconduct, spanning decades. The stories sparked the Me Too movement and exposed a hidden culture of silence, fear, and systemic abuse. Investigations revealed damning evidence emails, witness testimony, and reports of a toxic workplace that protected him for years. In 2020, Weinstein was convicted of multiple counts of sexual assault and rape and sentenced to 23 years in prison. His fall from grace marked a turning point in the entertainment industry and beyond. Once a kingmaker behind the scenes, Weinstein became a symbol of unchecked power and its devastating consequences. His legacy now serves as a powerful reminder of the importance of accountability, the courage of survivors, and the enduring need for justice. Todd Chrisley, the charismatic star of Chrisley Knows Best, won over audiences with his sharp humor, southern charm, and lavish lifestyle. Portrayed as a savvy entrepreneur and devoted family man, he built a brand rooted in wealth, wit, and wholesome family values. But in 2022, that glittering image shattered when the truth behind the scenes came to light. Todd and his wife Julie were convicted of multiple financial crimes, including bank fraud and tax evasion. Prosecutors revealed a complex scheme in which the couple submitted falsified documents to obtain millions in loans money used to fund their luxury lifestyle. Evidence poured in: fake financial statements, hidden income, and insider testimonies from former employees, all pointing to an elaborate web of deceit. Throughout the trial, Todd insisted he was innocent, claiming he had been targeted unfairly. But the jury saw otherwise. He was sentenced to 12 years in prison, while Julie received 7, leaving fans stunned and the family brand in ruins. The Chrisleys' fall from grace is a cautionary tale about living beyond one's means and the cost of deceit. Once admired as reality TV royalty, Todd Chrisley's legacy now serves as a stark reminder: in the end, the truth always finds a way to rise. Julie Chrisley, once beloved as the graceful, nurturing backbone of Chrisley Knows Best, was the image of Southern elegance, poised, polished, and seemingly grounded in family values. Viewers admired her as the calm to Todd Chrisley's chaos, the perfect mother holding her picture-perfect household together. But in 2022, that carefully curated image crumbled under the weight of federal convictions for financial fraud and tax evasion. Far from a passive participant, Julie played a central role in the scheme. Prosecutors revealed how she helped falsify documents, fabricate bank statements, and evade taxes, all in the name of maintaining their luxurious lifestyle. Testimonies from close associates and damning paper trails painted a picture of deliberate deception masked by charm and celebrity. Despite her claims of innocence, the court found her guilty. Julie was sentenced to 7 years in prison, a stark reckoning for someone once viewed as the moral compass of the family brand. Her conviction sent a powerful message: fame does not place anyone above the law. Julie Chrisley's fall from grace is a poignant cautionary tale about trust, image, and the consequences of financial dishonesty. Once seen as America's doting TV mom, she now stands as a reminder that even the most polished lives can hide a far more troubling truth. Jen Shah, the breakout star of The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, quickly became a fan favorite with her bold personality, flashy fashion, and unapologetic flair. With a presence as dramatic as the Utah mountains, she was reality TV gold until her empire of glamour came crashing down. In 2021, Shah was arrested and charged with orchestrating a massive telemarketing fraud scheme that targeted elderly and vulnerable victims across the country. Prosecutors uncovered a disturbing network of deceit. Shah and her accomplices lured victims with promises of lucrative online business opportunities, none of which were real. The result was financial devastation for many, and a flood of evidence, text messages, emails, and phone recordings painted a clear picture of her leadership in the scam. Initially defiant, Shah maintained her innocence, but in 2022, she changed her plea to guilty. The court sentenced her to 6.5 years in federal prison, delivering a powerful message about accountability regardless of fame. Jen Shah's fall from reality TV royalty to convicted felon is a cautionary tale of unchecked ambition, greed, and betrayal. Behind the glitz was a calculated scheme that exploited trust and cost people everything. Her legacy, once glittering, now serves as a sobering reminder that the spotlight can hide far darker truths. Hollywood may shine bright on the outside, but behind the glitz, the red carpets, and million-dollar smiles lies a much darker truth. For every star who rises to fame, there are others whose lives spiral into scandal, crime, and courtroom drama. These aren't just tabloid rumors. Some of the most recognizable names in showbiz have found themselves trading designer suits for prison jumpsuits. Their glamorous lives turned into cautionary tales as the spotlight dimmed and the cold reality of justice set in. In this video, we're counting down Hollywood stars who went from red carpet royalty to serving time behind bars, a chilling reminder that in Tinseltown, fame always comes with a price. Danny Masterson rose to fame as the cool, rebellious Stephen Hyde on That 70s Show and later starred in Men, At Work, and The Ranch. With a loyal fan base and a promising career, he was a familiar face on television in the early 2000s and even reunited with Ashton Kutcher on screen. But behind his Hollywood success, dark accusations were waiting to surface. In 2017, Masterson was accused by 3 women of harassing them between 2001 and 2003 while they were drunk at his home. Although he denied all charges, he was eventually charged with 3 felony counts. After a retrial in 2023 resulted in his conviction on 2 counts. He was sentenced to 30 years to life in prison, with parole after 25 years. Adding to the controversy is Masterson's ties to the Church of Scientology. The victims, who are also former members, claim that the church pressured them to stay silent. Although the church denies this, the scandal has cast a long shadow. Masterson is currently serving time in a California prison, a notable fall from grace as a comedy star. Ryan Grantham was once considered one of Hollywood's most promising young talents, a fresh face with an undeniable on-screen presence. He first captured audiences' hearts as Rodney James in Diary of a Wimpy Kid, 2010, and went on to appear in acclaimed projects like The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus and the hit series Riverdale. With more than 30 roles under his belt before the age of 21, it seemed like the sky was the limit. But behind the scenes, Ryan was battling demons few had ever seen. In a shocking and heartbreaking twist, Ryan's life took a devastating turn when, at just 21, he was involved in the tragic death of his mother at their home in British Columbia. Shocked and overwhelmed, Ryan later turned himself in. During his trial, expert testimony revealed that he had been suffering from major depressive disorder and other serious mental health issues. He has taken full responsibility for his actions, expressed deep remorse, and vowed to work toward change. Currently serving his sentence, Ryan Grantham will be eligible for parole after completing the mandatory minimum term. His story is more than just a headline. It's a sobering reminder of the enormous mental toll that fame and pressure can take on young actors. It highlights the urgent need for mental health support in the entertainment industry, where behind the scenes, struggles can sometimes lead to unimaginable consequences. Joe Sun's life was once the stuff of Hollywood success stories. Born in South Korea and raised in the United States, he entered the world of martial arts, competing at UFC 3 in 1994. While his MMA career didn't take off, he found a niche in low-budget action films, often playing tough villains. His most memorable role came in 1997 as Random Task, the quirky henchman in Austin Powers' International Man of Mystery, a role that brought him short-lived fame. But behind the scenes, a much darker story was unfolding. In 2008, Sun was arrested for vandalizing his roommate's car, a seemingly minor crime that led to a major investigation. A DNA test linked him to a horrific attack on Christmas Eve, 1990. He was convicted of torture and sentenced to life in prison, shocking fans who had once laughed at his on-screen antics. Just a month into his prison sentence, the darkness deepened. Joe Sun murdered a fellow inmate, serving an additional 27 years for manslaughter. Now serving a life sentence, his story is a grim reminder of how quickly fame can turn to infamy when a man's true nature is finally revealed. Michael Jace was once a rising star in Hollywood, best known for his role as cop Julian Lowy on FX's The Shield, and for his appearances in acclaimed films like Forrest Gump and Boogie Nights. With a strong on-screen presence and growing recognition, Jace seemed to have a promising future ahead of him. But in 2014, everything changed in the blink of an eye, not because of a scandal or a career misstep, but because of a heartbreaking act that not only ruined his life, but the lives of those closest to him. One tragic night in Hyde Park, Los Angeles, Jace lost control. In a moment of rage and emotional breakdown, he fatally shot his wife, April Jace, a beloved mother, educator, and talented athlete. The horror of that moment was magnified by the presence of their two young sons, who witnessed the unthinkable. At trial, witnesses cited Jace's emotional instability and alcohol use as contributing factors. The jury found him guilty of second degree and sentenced him to 40 years to life in prison. In court, Michael Jace broke down in remorse, offering no excuses for his actions, only an apology dripping with regret. Today, He serves time in a California state prison, a fallen actor whose story has become a painful reminder of how unchecked anger and split-second decisions can destroy lives, careers, and families forever. Amy Locane was once a bright star in Hollywood's rising class of the 1990s. She gained fame for her role alongside Johnny Depp in Cry Baby and earned critical praise for Blue Sky, which brought her a Young Artist Award nomination. She also appeared in the popular TV series Melrose Place, making her a familiar face on screens across America. But her life took a tragic turn on June 27, 2010, when she was involved in a fatal car crash while driving under the influence. Traveling over 50 mph above the speed limit, Amy struck the car of Fred Seaman, killing his wife Helene. Tests revealed her blood alcohol level was well above the legal limit, and she was later convicted of second-degree manslaughter and assault by auto. Initially sentenced to 3 years, her punishment was later extended to 8 years after multiple court reviews. She is currently serving her sentence at the Edna Mahan Correctional Facility in New Jersey, with a parole review scheduled for December 20, 2024. Amy's fall from fame is a sobering reminder of how one reckless decision can forever alter the lives of many. Zach Avery, born Zachary Horwitz, once seemed to be living the Hollywood dream, handsome, successful, and climbing the ranks of stardom. But behind the scenes, he was orchestrating one of the most shocking scams in entertainment history. Seen as a rising mogul, Horwitz claimed to have lucrative deals to distribute HBO and Netflix movies around the world. He lured investors with promises of high returns and flashy deals, but it was all smoke and mirrors. In reality, the movies he claimed to license, like The Devil Below and You're Not Alone, were either fake or misrepresented. Starting in 2015, Horwitz spun a web of lies, creating fake distribution reports for 52 movies and defrauding more than 250 investors through his company, one in Mem Capital. The scam netted him more than $650 million, much of which he used to fund a lavish lifestyle of luxury homes, private jets, and celebrity status. As the truth came out, so did his world. The FBI got involved, and in 2022, Horwitz was sentenced to 20 years in federal prison. He was also ordered to pay $230 million in restitution. Zach Avery's downfall is a chilling reminder that in Hollywood, glitz and glamour can sometimes mask the darkest lies, and that in an industry built on illusion, integrity is more important than ever. Timothy Zickaher, known to millions as one of the daring drivers on the hit reality series Ice Road Truckers, made headlines for all the wrong reasons when his off-screen life took a dark and disturbing turn. The man once celebrated for navigating frozen highways with nerves of steel was suddenly thrust into a real-life legal nightmare that shocked fans across the country. The scandal began with what seemed like a simple financial dispute. Zicker accused a woman of overdrawing his account and arranged to meet with her to resolve the issue. But things spiraled quickly out of control. According to reports, Zicker became aggressive, allegedly holding the woman against her will and demanding information. In a desperate attempt to escape, she gave him a fake phone number that actually belonged to the police. When Zicker called the number and made threats, law enforcement immediately traced the call and swooped in to arrest him before the situation escalated further. Following a detailed investigation, Zicker admitted to the charges and was convicted. His dramatic fall from reality TV fame to criminal conviction is a sobering reminder that no amount of celebrity can excuse criminal behavior. The case highlights the importance of ethics, accountability, and personal responsibility on or off camera. Jen Shah, The glamorous and outspoken star of The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City was once known for her lavish lifestyle, fierce attitude, and unapologetic confidence. But in March 2021, her world came crashing down when she was caught in a nationwide scam that shocked fans and fellow cast members alike. Federal prosecutors have accused Jen and her assistant of running a telemarketing scheme that targeted vulnerable seniors across the country. Victims were promised services they never received while their life savings were depleted. One elderly woman, Tricia, 75, lost more than $47,000. Another victim, veteran Ralph Hicks, was defrauded of more than $100,000, and his family believes the emotional toll played a role in his death. Text messages later revealed Jen taunting her victims, making the scandal even more disturbing. Although she initially denied the charges, Jen ultimately pleaded guilty in July 2022 and was sentenced to 6.5 years in prison. She is currently serving her sentence at Bryan Federal Prison in Texas and will not be eligible for parole until 2028. Jen Shah's tragic downfall is a stark reminder that fame does not make you invulnerable, and that taking advantage of those who are most vulnerable can have serious consequences. Jared Fogle is known as the unlikely face of the health transformation, a regular guy who lost over 200 pounds by eating Subway sandwiches. From 2000 to 2015, he was a national spokesperson, appearing in commercials, talk shows, and even launching the Jard Foundation to fight childhood obesity. But behind that glamorous image was a disturbing secret that would soon destroy everything. In a shocking twist, federal authorities launched an investigation into his nonprofit and uncovered horrifying evidence. Fogle was charged with possession and distribution of illegal materials, among other crimes. The revelations shocked the public and shattered the healthy brand he had built over more than a decade. He eventually pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 15 years and 8 months in federal prison. Currently serving his sentence at the Englewood Federal Correctional Institution, Fogle will not be eligible for parole until 2029. His story is a chilling reminder that fame and influence come with great responsibility, and that when that trust is violated, the consequences can be both severe and long-lasting. It also underscores the urgent need for oversight in nonprofits and transparency from public figures entrusted with a platform. Todd and Julie Chrisley, the glamorous stars of Chrisley Knows Best, became household names thanks to their picture-perfect Southern charm, extravagant lifestyle, and no-nonsense parenting style. But behind the designer clothes and reality TV smiles, a financial house of cards was crumbling, and the truth was far more dramatic than any episode of their hit show. In August 2019, the couple was hit with a storm of federal charges, including bank fraud, tax evasion, and conspiracy. Prosecutors revealed that the Chrisleys had falsified documents to secure over $30 million in loans, all while hiding more than $1 million in income from their own reality series. They also allegedly evaded nearly $2 million in taxes, all in an effort to maintain their luxurious image. After a gripping 3-week trial, the verdict was clear. Todd was sentenced to 12 years behind bars, and Julie received a 7-year sentence. Todd is currently serving time at Pensacola Federal Correctional Institution in Florida, while Julie is imprisoned at Mariana Federal Correctional Institution. Their dramatic fall from grace serves as a powerful reminder that no amount of fame or wealth can shield you from the law. In the end, the Chrisley story isn't just about luxury and lies, it's a cautionary tale about accountability, integrity, and the high price of living beyond your means. Jerry Harris, the breakout star of Netflix's hit docuseries Cheer, captured hearts across the nation with his infectious energy, inspiring spirit, and standout performances as part of the Navarro College Bulldogs cheer squad. His meteoric rise to fame led to national media appearances, including a memorable interview on The Ellen DeGeneres Show, where he became a symbol of positivity and perseverance. But in a shocking turn of events that all came crashing down in September 2020, at just 19 years old, Harris was accused of serious misconduct that sent shockwaves through the public and entertainment industry alike. The allegations triggered a federal investigation, and what followed was a dramatic fall from grace that brought his once promising career to a sudden halt. Today, Jerry Harris is serving a sentence in a federal correctional facility, a stark contrast to the bright lights and fame he once enjoyed. His story serves as a sobering reminder that personal responsibility, ethics, and accountability are non-negotiable, especially in the spotlight. No matter how high someone rises, the consequences of poor choices can be swift, severe, and permanent. Darren Sharper was once considered one of the top safeties in the NFL. Over a 14-year career, he played for the Green Bay Packers, Minnesota Vikings, and New Orleans Saints. He earned 5 Pro Bowl selections, 2 All-Pro honors, and was a key figure in helping the Saints win the Super Bowl after Hurricane Katrina. Sharper's athleticism and leadership made him a fan favorite and a respected name in professional football. However, his reputation came crashing down in 2014 when multiple women across several cities, including West Hollywood and Las Vegas, accused him of sexual misconduct. The allegations were both shocking and disturbing, triggering a major investigation and widespread media attention. Fans were stunned as the once celebrated star became the focus of a serious and deeply troubling scandal. In 2016, Sharper was sentenced to a lengthy prison term after being convicted on multiple charges. His story became a powerful example of how fame and success do not excuse criminal behavior. Darren Sharper's fall from grace is a harsh reminder of the importance of ethics, accountability, and respect on and off the field. His case remains one of the most sobering scandals in NFL history. Gary Glitter rose to international stardom during the 1970s and 1980s, becoming one of the most recognizable faces of glam rock. With electrifying performances and hit singles that dominated the charts, he carved out a legacy as a music icon of his era. His energetic stage presence and larger-than-life persona made him a staple of pop culture during that time. However, his fame was later overshadowed by serious legal troubles. In 2015, Glitter was sentenced to 16 years in prison in the UK after being found guilty of multiple charges related to misconduct. Though he was granted early release in February 2023, he quickly violated the terms of his parole, leading to his return to prison. He is now expected to remain incarcerated until around 2031. Glitter's fall from grace has sparked renewed conversations about accountability in the entertainment industry. His case is a powerful reminder that no amount of fame or success can shield someone from facing the consequences of their actions. It also highlights the importance of ethics, responsibility, and the need for higher standards among public figures. Skyler Deleon, formerly known as John Julius Jacobson Jr., once had a brush with fame as a child actor, even appearing briefly in the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers series. But behind the scenes, his early life was marked by hardship. Born in California in 1979, he endured a troubled childhood, including reported abuse, and changed his name more than once in an effort to start fresh. After a short stint in the U.S. Navy cut short due to unauthorized absences, Skyler tried to build a new life, eventually marrying and starting a family. But financial stress soon pushed Skyler and his wife down a darker path. What began as struggles to make ends meet escalated into a string of criminal activities. Things took a tragic turn when they became involved in a violent robbery. Authorities say the couple lured a yacht owner under false pretenses, eventually committing a brutal act at sea. Although the victim's body was not immediately recovered, the chilling testimony of an accomplice helped prosecutors piece together what happened, ultimately leading to Skyler's arrest and conviction. Skyler Deleon's story is a sobering example of how unresolved trauma and poor choices can spiral into life-altering consequences. It also underscores the importance of moral values, personal responsibility, and the critical need for mental health support, especially for those trying to rebuild after early adversity. Kaalan Walker, a 27-year-old rapper and actor, was sentenced to 50 years to life in Los Angeles after being convicted in a high-profile case involving multiple victims. Although he was acquitted of some charges, he must register as a sex offender for life, and his legal team is pursuing an appeal. Authorities say Walker used social media to connect with young aspiring models and took advantage of their trust. One of the victims, Sydney Stanford, has spoken out, calling for justice and emphasizing the importance of having ethical legal representation. The court described Walker's actions as calculated and without prior relationship with the victims. The case has drawn national attention and sparked broader discussions about online safety and accountability. The case serves as a stark reminder of how influence can be abused and why legal and ethical boundaries must be respected in both the entertainment world and society at large. Shannon Richardson, an actress known for small roles in hit shows like The Walking Dead and The Vampire Diaries, shocked the nation in 2013 when she became the center of a bizarre and disturbing federal case. Authorities say Richardson mailed toxic letters to several prominent figures, including former President Barack Obama and then New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg, triggering a swift response from national security officials. What began as a shocking mystery quickly unraveled into a personal drama. Richardson initially tried to frame her estranged husband, claiming he was responsible for the dangerous mailings. But after an intense FBI investigation, the evidence told a different story, one that pointed directly to her. Prosecutors revealed that the act was rooted in personal turmoil, including a bitter family dispute and emotional instability. At the end, Shannon Richardson was sentenced to 18 years in federal prison for sending a harmful substance with the intent to cause harm. Her story became a headline-grabbing cautionary tale not just for those in the entertainment industry, but for everyone. It serves as a powerful reminder across that personal responsibility and respect for the law are non-negotiable, especially in a world where one reckless act can ripple an entire nation. War Machine, born John Copenhaver, was once a rising star in the world of mixed martial arts. From 2004 to 2013, he built an impressive record with 14 victories, 8 of them by knockout, while competing in top-tier promotions like the UFC Bellator and The Ultimate Fighter. Known for his aggressive style inside the cage, he quickly became a recognizable name in the sport. But in 2014, his career and his life took a devastating turn. A violent incident involving his ex-girlfriend and another individual led to a firestorm of public outrage and legal consequences. Authorities charged him with 31 serious offenses, and the case shocked both fans and fellow athletes alike. The trial revealed a pattern of troubling behavior that ultimately resulted in a life sentence with no possibility of parole until at least 2033. War Machine's downfall became a sobering example of how fame and talent can be overshadowed by personal choices. His story serves as a powerful reminder of the importance of self-control, respect, and responsibility, not just in sports, but in everyday life. Kris Wu, a former member of the K-pop group EXO, successfully transitioned into a solo career, gaining widespread recognition across both China and Hollywood. He starred in high-profile films like XX, Return of Xander Cage, and Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets, becoming a global figure in music and film with fans around the world. But in July 2021, his career took a serious hit when allegations involving multiple women in Beijing came to light. Chinese authorities launched a formal investigation, and in November 2022, the Chaoyang District Court issued a verdict according to local law. The court stressed the importance of upholding legal standards and protecting the well-being of all individuals, particularly in high-profile industries like entertainment. Kris Wu's case became a major moment in both Chinese and international media, serving as a reminder that fame does not place anyone above the law. It also reinforced the importance of integrity, personal responsibility, and ethical conduct for public figures in the global spotlight. Harvey Weinstein, once one of the most powerful figures in Hollywood, left a major mark on the film industry as the co-founder of Miramax. He helped produce some of the most iconic movies of the modern era, including Pulp Fiction, Good Will Hunting, and Shakespeare in Love, the latter earning him an Academy Award and industry-wide acclaim. For years, he was seen as a kingmaker in Hollywood until everything changed. In 2017, investigative reports from the New York Times and the New Yorker revealed a troubling pattern of misconduct spanning decades. Dozens of women, many of them high-profile actresses, came forward with deeply disturbing accounts, sparking a global reckoning in the entertainment world. The case became a cornerstone of the Me Too movement as more and more voices were heard and believed. Weinstein was later tried and convicted in New York, receiving a 23-year prison sentence. In 2023, he was sentenced to an additional 16 years in Los Angeles following further convictions. Charges in the UK have also been approved. Once a celebrated name in cinema, Weinstein is now serving time and has become a symbol of how even the most powerful must answer for their actions. His downfall marked a turning point for accountability in the film industry. Joe Exotic, also known as the Tiger King, became a well-known figure in the exotic animal world through his zoo in Oklahoma. With his love for big cats and bold personality, he quickly gained attention nationwide. His flashy style and outspoken nature made him a media magnet. Aside from his animal career, Joe made headlines by running for U.S. president in 2016 and governor of Oklahoma in 2018. Though unsuccessful, his campaigns highlighted his desire for public influence. However, in 2019, his life took a dark turn when he was convicted on multiple charges, including animal mistreatment and a murder-for-hire plot involving his rival, Carole Baskin. He was sentenced to 22 years in prison. The Netflix documentary Tiger King brought his story to global fame, exposing the chaos behind the scenes. Joe Exotic's rise and fall is a reminder of how fame and ambition can spiral out of control when ethics and the law are ignored. Toby Willis, the father of the musical Willis family, rose to fame through appearances on popular shows like America's Got Talent and TLC's reality series. With their wholesome image and musical talent, the family quickly became a favorite in American households. However, everything changed when a legal investigation involving Toby emerged in Tennessee. As the case unfolded, the family's television show was pulled from the air. Toby Willis was later arrested and sentenced according to state law, marking a dramatic fall from grace. His story serves as a powerful reminder that no level of fame can excuse unethical behavior. In the entertainment industry and in life, accountability matters. Actions have consequences, and maintaining integrity is essential, no matter how public your platform may be. Suge Knight, co-founder of Death Row Records, was a towering force in the West Coast hip-hop scene during the 1990s. Known for his powerful presence in the industry, Knight helped launch the careers of rap legends and built one of the most influential music empires of the era. But alongside his success came controversy. Knight's name became linked to multiple legal troubles over the years, with a reputation often tied to intimidation and violence. In a highly publicized incident on the set of Straight Outta Compton, one man lost his life and another was injured, an event that would lead to serious legal consequences. In 2018, Suge Knight was convicted of manslaughter and sentenced to 28 years in prison. His story stands as a stark reminder that even the most powerful figures in entertainment are not immune to the consequences of their actions. In a world where fame and fortune collide with real-life decisions, accountability remains essential. Drechsel, once hailed as a top competitor on American Ninja Warrior, saw his career come to a sudden halt after being charged with serious federal offenses. He had gained national fame for his athletic talent and was even crowned champion. But everything changed when the investigation became public. Authorities revealed that the case involved inappropriate conduct with a minor whom Drechsel allegedly met at a fan event. The situation escalated when evidence was found linking him to further misconduct. He was later arrested and is currently being held in a federal detention center in Philadelphia. Drechsel's downfall is a reminder that fame comes with responsibility. As a public figure admired by many, especially young fans, his actions had far-reaching consequences. The case highlights the importance of integrity, accountability, and maintaining trust when in the public spotlight. So, we've just explored the stories of Hollywood stars whose careers and, in some cases, lives were tragically derailed by serious mistakes. These stories serve as powerful reminders of the importance of ethics, personal responsibility, and the consequences of choices made in the spotlight. Thank you for watching. If you found this video meaningful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you won't miss what's coming next. See you in the next video.
Welcome to the world where the rich and famous take a sharp turn toward the infamous. In this jaw-dropping episode, we pull back the curtain on the shocking scandals and legal battles that turned beloved actors into headlines for all the wrong reasons. From Hollywood blockbusters to critically acclaimed TV sensations, these stars had it all, until they didn't. Ready to uncover the stunning rise and fall of fame? Buckle up, because this journey into Hollywood's darkest secrets. Let's get into it. Amy Locane, born December 19, 1971, is an American actress renowned for her roles in John Waters' 1990 musical comedy Cry Baby and as Sandy Harling in the inaugural season of the primetime soap opera Melrose Place. She also appeared in the 1992 film School Ties alongside Matt Damon and Brendan Fraser. However, Locane's life took a tragic turn on June 27, 2010, when she was involved in a fatal DUI car crash in Montgomery, New Jersey. Driving at 53 mph in a 35 mph zone, she collided with a vehicle turning into a driveway, resulting in the death of 60-year-old Helene Seaman and serious injuries to her husband, Fred Seaman. Tests revealed Locane's blood alcohol level was in 10%, nearly 3 times the legal limit. In December 2010, Locane was indicted for aggravated manslaughter and assault by automobile. A Somerset County jury convicted her of vehicular homicide and assault by auto on November 27, 2012. Initially sentenced to 3 years in prison in February 2013, her sentence was deemed too lenient upon appeal. After multiple legal proceedings, Locane was resentenced to 8 years in New Jersey State Prison on September 17, 2020. State law requires her to serve more than 6 years before being eligible for parole. This case underscores the severe consequences of impaired driving, transforming a once promising acting career into a cautionary tale of legal battles and imprisonment. Skyler Deleon, born John Julius Jacobson Jr. on August 12, 1979, in Sun Valley, California, is a former child actor who appeared in commercials and claimed to have had a non-speaking role in the television series Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. In November 2004, Deleon and accomplices targeted Thomas and Jackie Hawks, a retired couple selling their 55-foot yacht, the Well-Deserved. Posing as interested buyers, Deleon, along with John Fitzgerald Kennedy and Alonzo McCain, took the couple on a test cruise off the coast of Newport Beach, California. Once at sea, they overpowered the Hawks, forced them to sign over ownership of the yacht, tied them to an anchor, and threw them overboard alive. Their bodies were never recovered. Following a thorough investigation, Deleon was arrested and charged with multiple counts of murder. In October 2008, he was convicted of 3 counts of first-degree murder, including the earlier killing of John Jarvie in 2003. The jury recommended the death penalty, and in April 2009, Deleon was formally sentenced to death. Due to California's moratorium on executions, he remains on death row. While incarcerated, Deleon legally changed his name to Skyler Preciosa Deleon and began hormone therapy to transition to a more feminine appearance. This case serves as a stark reminder of how a promising life can take a dark and tragic turn, leading to devastating consequences for all involved. Michael Andrew Jace, a name once synonymous with gripping performances on screen, found his career and life take a dramatic turn. Born on July 13, 1962, in Paterson, New Jersey, Jace built a respected career in Hollywood, most famously playing Officer Julian Lowe in the acclaimed FX drama The Shield. Beyond television, he appeared in iconic films such as Forrest Gump, Boogie Nights, and Clear and Present Danger, showcasing his versatility as an actor. However, Jace's off-screen life drew attention for deeply personal challenges that became public. In 2014, he faced significant legal issues following an incident at his Los Angeles home. After a thorough investigation and legal proceedings, Jace was convicted in 2016 and received a sentence requiring substantial time in custody. He is currently serving his sentence in a California correctional facility. Jace's story serves as a sobering reminder of how personal struggles can intersect with public life, reshaping even the most promising careers in unexpected and challenging ways. Kaalan Walker, famously known as KR, was a name to watch in Hollywood. Born and raised in Los Angeles, he burst onto the entertainment scene as a talented triple threat in music, acting, and dance. At just 22 years old, Walker was already making a name for himself, especially with his acting debut in Kings. Sharing the screen with stars like Halle Berry and Daniel Craig, the film premiered at the Toronto International Film Festival and offered a poignant exploration of family dynamics during the 1992 Los Angeles riots, earning critical acclaim. Despite his early success, Walker's journey in Hollywood took a controversial turn in 2018. Allegations and subsequent legal proceedings brought his career to a halt, following accusations involving serious misconduct. After a highly publicized trial, Walker faced a significant sentence in connection to multiple charges. While his case sparked intense public dialogue, it also served as a broader reminder of the complexities and responsibilities that come with fame and influence. This case has drawn significant public attention, highlighting the darker side of Hollywood's rising stars and serving as a reminder of the importance of accountability within the industry. Once filled with promise and potential, is now a cautionary tale of the challenges that come with navigating the highs and lows of the entertainment industry. William Hayden, born on June 24, 1965, was a prominent figure in the firearms industry. A skilled gunsmith and entrepreneur, Hayden gained recognition for his craftsmanship and expertise, eventually founding his own gun shop, which became a hub for firearm enthusiasts. His passion and dedication to his craft led to national recognition, particularly through his role on the reality TV series Sons of Guns, which aired on the Discovery Channel. The show highlighted his technical skills and larger-than-life personality, earning him widespread acclaim and a devoted audience. Despite his professional achievements, Hayden's public image took a sharp and dramatic turn. In 2017, he faced legal troubles that overshadowed his previous success. Following a thorough investigation and court proceedings, he was convicted and sentenced to 3 life terms. The case brought significant public attention, altering the legacy of a man once celebrated for his work in the firearms world. Hayden's story serves as a complex narrative of talent, success, and the profound consequences of personal choices, offering a sobering reflection on how quickly a legacy can be rewritten. Shannon Richardson, born on August 31, 1977, is an American actress whose modest career in television gave way to infamy due to her involvement in a shocking criminal case. She appeared in minor roles in popular TV series such as The Vampire Diaries, Franklin and Bash, and The Walking Dead. While these roles didn't catapult her to stardom, they provided a foothold in the entertainment world. However, Richardson's life took a dark and unexpected turn in 2013 when she was implicated in a plot to send ricin-laced letters to then-President Barack Obama, New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg, and a gun control advocate. Investigators discovered that Richardson's motive was an attempt to frame her estranged husband amid their marital disputes. This bizarre and dangerous scheme thrust her into national headlines, transforming her from a little-known actress into the face of a federal investigation. In July 2014, Richardson was convicted for her role in the plot and sentenced to 18 years in federal prison. The case not only ended her acting career, but also left a lasting mark as a chilling example of how personal vendettas can spiral into serious criminal acts. Her story serves as a cautionary tale of how fame, however fleeting, can be overshadowed by choices that lead to notoriety. Drew Drechsel, a celebrated competitor on the popular television series American Ninja Warrior, faced serious legal allegations in 2020. In August of that year, he was arrested on charges related to inappropriate conduct. Following these allegations, NBC made the decision to edit Drechsel out of Season 12 of American Ninja Warrior, reflecting the gravity of the situation. Reports indicated that the allegations stemmed from interactions with a fan he met at an event, leading to subsequent meetings at his gym. The legal proceedings have been ongoing, and as of the latest updates, Drechsel is being held at the Federal Detention Center in Philadelphia, according to the Federal Bureau of Prisons Inmate Locator. This case attracted significant media attention due to Drechsel's prominent status within the American Ninja Warrior community. It serves as a reminder of the importance of upholding ethical standards and the potential consequences when those standards are not maintained. Zachary Joseph Horwitz, professionally known as Zach Avery, was born on December 5, 1986 in Berkeley, California. He pursued a career in acting, securing minor roles in films such as Fury and The White Crow. However, his aspirations in Hollywood were overshadowed by his involvement in a massive Ponzi scheme that defrauded investors of approximately $227 million. In 2013, Horwitz co-founded 1NMM Capital LLC, a company he claimed would acquire and distribute film rights to major streaming platforms like HBO and Netflix. He presented investors with fabricated licensing agreements and fake emails to substantiate these claims. Between 2014 and 2019, Horwitz raised over $650 million from investors, using new investments to pay returns to earlier investors, a hallmark of a Ponzi scheme. The scheme began to unravel in late 2019 when Horwitz defaulted on payments, attributing delays to purported issues with HBO and Netflix. In reality, neither company had any business relationship with him. In April 2021, Horwitz was arrested and charged with securities fraud. He pleaded guilty in October 2021 and, in February 2022, was sentenced to 20 years in federal prison and ordered to pay $230 million in restitution to his victims. This case serves as a stark reminder of the potential for deception, even among those who appear trustworthy, and underscores the importance of due diligence in investment opportunities. Joseph Allen Maldonado Passage, better known as Joe Exotic, is a man whose life defies convention, blending tigers, politics, and controversy into a story stranger than fiction. Born on March 5, 1963, in Garden City, Kansas, Exotic first rose to fame as the flamboyant owner of the Greater Wynwood Exotic Animal Park in Oklahoma. Known for his eccentric style and larger-than-life personality, Exotic became synonymous with the world of big cats. Exotic's political ambitions were as bold as his tiger print wardrobe. In 2016, he ran for president as an independent candidate, followed by a 2018 bid for governor of Oklahoma under the Libertarian Party. While neither campaign gained traction, his antics caught the attention of the media and the public. In 2019, Exotic's life took a dramatic turn when he was convicted on federal charges, including animal abuse and 2 counts of murder for hire. The latter stemmed from an alleged plot to kill Carol Baskin, the CEO of Big Cat Rescue and his longtime rival. Exotic was sentenced to 22 years in prison, cementing his status as a controversial figure. Even behind bars, Joe Exotic remained in the spotlight. In March 2023, he announced a run for the Libertarian Party's nomination for the 2024 presidential election, only to later shift his focus to the Democratic Party nomination. Love him or loathe him, Joe Exotic's story continues to captivate and baffle the world. Joseph's son, born on November 22, 1970, in South Korea, is a former mixed martial artist, professional wrestler, and actor who became infamous for his criminal actions. Son gained modest recognition for his role as the villainous Random Task in the 1997 film Austin Powers, International Man of Mystery. Beyond acting, he had a career in combat sports, participating in mixed martial arts and kickboxing during the 1990s. However, Son's life veered into darkness with revelations of his criminal behavior. In 2011, he was convicted for his involvement in a violent 1990 assault, which included charges of gang rape and torture. He received a sentence of 7 years to life in California. While incarcerated, Son's notoriety escalated further when he was implicated in the death of his cellmate, Michael Thomas Graham, in 2017. This act led to an additional 27-year sentence for voluntary manslaughter. Son is currently serving a combined sentence of 34 years to life in prison. His story underscores the devastating consequences of criminal behavior, even for individuals who once enjoyed fame and public recognition. It serves as a stark reminder of how actions off-screen can eclipse any achievements in the public eye. Jen Shah, born on October 4, 1973, gained fame as a prominent cast member of Bravo's reality television series, The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. Known for her extravagant lifestyle and dynamic personality, Shah quickly became a central figure on the show. However, in March 2021, Shah's life took a dramatic turn when she was arrested and charged with conspiracy to commit wire fraud and money laundering in connection with a nationwide telemarketing scheme. Prosecutors alleged that from 2012 to 2021, Shah and her associates targeted thousands of individuals, many of whom were over the age of 55, by selling fraudulent business services and promising substantial returns that never materialized. Initially pleading not guilty, Shah later changed her plea to guilty in July 2022, admitting her role in the fraudulent scheme. She expressed remorse, stating, "I knew this was wrong. I knew many people were harmed, and I'm so sorry." On January 6, 2023, Shah was sentenced to 78 months, 6.5 years, in federal prison. In addition to her prison term, she was ordered to forfeit $6.5 million and pay restitution up to $9.5 million to the victims of the scheme. This case underscores the serious repercussions of fraudulent activities and serves as a cautionary tale about the potential consequences of unethical behavior, regardless of one's public persona. Toby Willis and his family, known as the Willis clan, captured the nation's attention with their musical talents and seemingly wholesome image. Alongside his wife Brenda and their 12 children, Willis rose to fame after the family's memorable performance on America's Got Talent. Their success led to a TLC reality show, The Willis Family, which showcased their close-knit dynamic and exceptional artistry, earning them widespread admiration. However, the family's image unraveled in 2016 with Toby Willis's arrest, which sent shockwaves through their fan base and beyond. Facing serious legal allegations, Willis became the subject of intense media scrutiny. Following legal proceedings, he was convicted and sentenced to prison, marking a tragic and shocking turn for the once celebrated family. The fallout from these events deeply impacted the Willis family, as they faced not only personal anguish, but also public scrutiny. Despite the tragedy, some family members have continued to pursue music and other endeavors, striving to reclaim a sense of normalcy. This case remains a sobering reminder that even those who appear to embody perfection can harbor dark and painful truths. Allison Mack, born on July 29, 1982, in Preetz, West Germany, was immersed in the arts from a young age. The daughter of Jonathan Mack, an opera singer, and Mindy Mack, a school teacher and bookkeeper, she seemed destined for success. Her breakthrough came with her role as Chloe Sullivan on the hit series Smallville, where she captivated audiences from 2001 to 2011. Mack's portrayal of the resourceful and witty Chloe earned her critical acclaim and a devoted fan base, cementing her place in pop culture. However, Mack's career and reputation took a shocking turn when her involvement in NXIVM, a purported self-help organization, came to light. Within the group, she played a key role in a secretive subgroup called DOS, which federal authorities identified as engaging in exploitative practices. In 2018, Mack was arrested and charged with sex trafficking conspiracy, and forced labor conspiracy, charges that sent shockwaves through Hollywood and her fans. Facing significant legal consequences, Mack pleaded guilty in 2019 to racketeering and racketeering conspiracy. In 2021, she was sentenced to 3 years in federal prison for her involvement in the organization's criminal activities. Serving her time at the Federal Correctional Institution in Dublin, California, Mack was released in July 2023, marking the end of her prison sentence. Allison Mack's journey from beloved actress to central figure in a high-profile scandal serves as a cautionary tale of the potential pitfalls of fame and misplaced trust. While her release signals a new chapter, The ripple effects of her actions continue to echo in the public and entertainment spheres. Harvey Weinstein, born on March 19, 1952 in Flushing, New York, was once one of Hollywood's most powerful figures. As the co-founder of Miramax and later the Weinstein Company, he, alongside his brother Bob Weinstein, was instrumental in producing critically acclaimed films such as Pulp Fiction, Shakespeare in Love, and The English Patient. Over decades, Weinstein's name became synonymous with award-winning independent cinema, earning numerous accolades and reshaping the industry. However, his career came to a sudden and dramatic halt in October 2017, when allegations of sexual misconduct spanning decades emerged. More than 80 women, including high-profile actresses, accused Weinstein of sexual harassment, assault, or rape. These revelations became a pivotal moment for the Naller's Me Too movement, sparking a global reckoning against abuse in workplaces. In May 2018, Weinstein was arrested in New York and charged with rape and other sexual crimes. After a highly publicized trial in February 2020, he was found guilty of third-degree rape and a criminal sexual act in the first degree. Weinstein received a 23-year prison sentence and began serving time at the Wenda Correctional Facility in upstate New York. Weinstein's downfall marked a seismic shift in Hollywood, emphasizing the importance of accountability and exposing the darker side of an industry long shrouded in silence. His story, once defined by cinematic triumphs, is now a stark reminder of the consequences of abuse and exploitation. Ryan Grantham, born in 1998, is a Canadian former actor known for his roles as Rodney James in Diary of a Wimpy Kid and Jeffrey Augustine in Riverdale. His career began with promise, debuting in The Secret of the Nutcracker 2007 and featuring in projects like Supernatural and Becoming Redwood. Grantham's talent and early success suggested a bright future in entertainment. However, in March 2020, his life took a devastating turn. Grantham fatally shot his mother, Barbara Waite, at their family home in Squamish, British Columbia. Reports later revealed he had been struggling with severe mental health issues leading up to the incident. Following the tragedy, Grantham made the shocking decision to travel to Ottawa with intentions of harm, but he ultimately surrendered to Vancouver police instead. In 2022, Grantham pleaded guilty to second-degree murder and was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole for 14 years. During his trial, he expressed profound remorse, acknowledging the irreversible impact of his actions. The case has since sparked discussions about mental health awareness and the importance of early intervention for those in crisis. This somber chapter serves as a stark reminder of the complexities of mental health and the far-reaching consequences of untreated struggles, even for those who once seemed destined for success. Zara Phythian, best known for her role in Marvel's Doctor Strange alongside Benedict Cumberbatch, and her husband, martial arts instructor Victor Mark, faced significant legal consequences in 2022 after being convicted of severe offenses involving minors. Their trial at Nottingham Crown Court drew public attention, exposing a deeply troubling series of events. Phythian, 37, received an 8-year prison sentence for her role in the abuse of a girl. Her husband, Victor Mark, 59, was sentenced to 14 years in prison, including 10 years for crimes committed with Phythian and an additional 4 years for separate offenses involving a victim. Both denied the allegations throughout the trial, but the jury delivered a unanimous guilty verdict based on compelling evidence. Referred to by her married name, Zara Mark, during the proceedings, Phythian's career as an actress and public figure is now overshadowed by these convictions. The case highlights the justice system's unwavering dedication to protecting vulnerable individuals and ensuring accountability, regardless of a person's public or professional stature. Josh Duggar, born on March 3, 1988, rose to fame as the eldest child in the Duggar family, whose lives were chronicled on the TLC reality series 19 Kids and Counting. The show, which highlighted the family's conservative values and large household, brought them significant attention and a loyal fan base. Duggar also held a prominent position as executive director of FRC Action, a lobbying arm of the Family Research Council from 2013 to 2015. However, his public image began to unravel in 2015 when reports surfaced alleging that he had engaged in inappropriate behavior as a teenager. These revelations led to the swift cancellation of 19 Kids and Counting and widespread public backlash. In April 2021, Duggar faced new legal challenges when he was arrested by U.S. Marshals on federal charges of receiving and possessing illicit material. Following a widely publicized trial, Duggar was convicted on all charges in December 2021. On May 25, 2022, he was sentenced to over 12 years in federal prison. This case served as a shocking fall from grace for the once prominent reality TV personality, prompting discussions about accountability and the responsibilities of public figures in maintaining trust with their audiences. Danny Masterson, born on March 13, 1976, gained fame as Stephen Hyde in the hit sitcom That 70s Show. Known for his laid-back demeanor and comedic timing, Masterson became a household name during the show's 8-season run. He later starred in other television series, including Men at Work and The Ranch, further cementing his place in Hollywood. However, Masterson's career and public image were irreparably damaged by serious legal allegations. In March 2017, multiple women accused Masterson of sexual misconduct, with incidents allegedly dating back to the early 2000s. These accusations led to a lengthy legal battle during which his affiliation with the Church of Scientology became a focal point. Some victims claimed that the organization attempted to silence them and hinder justice, contributing to significant delays in the case. In May 2023, Masterson was convicted of raping 2 women. By September 2023, he was sentenced to 30 years to life in prison, marking a significant conclusion to the years-long legal proceedings. Masterson's fall from grace serves as a stark reminder of the importance of accountability and the far-reaching consequences of misconduct, even for those once celebrated in the public eye. Sea murder. When Percy Master P. Miller found success with No Limit Records, his dreams weren't just about music. Determined to pull his family out of the harsh realities of New Orleans housing projects, he brought his brothers Corey, C. Murder, and Vishon, Silk the Shocker, into the fold. The trio became hip-hop powerhouses, releasing gold-certified records and cementing their place in rap history. But while fame brought opportunity, it couldn't shield the family from tragedy. In 2001, Corey became entangled in a violent nightclub incident, but things took a devastating turn in January 2002. During an altercation at another New Orleans club, Corey discharged a weapon, resulting in the tragic passing of Steve Thomas. The shocking event led to a series of legal battles. Corey's first trial in 2003 resulted in a mandatory life sentence, though the conviction was later overturned due to the prosecution's failure to disclose key witness criminal records. By 2009, Corey was retried and once again sentenced to life. Over the years, the case garnered widespread attention, with high-profile advocates like Kim Kardashian calling for justice reform. Despite their efforts, a 2023 federal ruling upheld Corey's sentence, leaving a haunting legacy of a promising life overshadowed by a fatal decision. For Master P, the pain of losing his brother to this tragedy is a reminder of how even success can't escape the weight of the past. Diddy, a titan in music and business, now faces allegations that threaten to unravel his carefully cultivated public image. Prosecutors have accused him of operating a criminal enterprise that coerced women into prolonged and degrading sexual acts. These accusations suggest that Diddy used his influence, intimidation tactics, and even substances to manipulate and control his victims. Despite the gravity of the charges, his legal team has pushed back strongly, claiming that the accusations are baseless and part of an unjust campaign to tarnish his reputation. Diddy has steadfastly maintained his innocence, insisting he is the target of an overreaching prosecution. The case took a darker turn as investigators revealed disturbing evidence obtained during property raids, including firearms and a large amount of lubricants that prosecutors argue were used to facilitate abusive actions. These findings, coupled with testimonies of alleged victims, have painted a troubling picture of coercion and exploitation. While Diddy's defense team has attempted to discredit the evidence, claiming it lacks context and credibility, the prosecution remains firm in their narrative of abuse and manipulation, calling for accountability in what they describe as a long-standing pattern of predatory behavior. Currently, Diddy awaits trial from behind bars at the Metropolitan Detention Center, where he is held under special supervision for his safety. Twice denied bail, the music mogul now faces the very real possibility of a prison sentence that could range from 15 years to life if convicted on all charges. As the trial approaches, public attention has intensified, splitting opinions between those who continue to support him and those calling for justice for the alleged victims. For Diddy, a man who built an empire on his name, the outcome of this trial could define his legacy.
They were once Hollywood's brightest stars, flashing lights, screaming fans, million-dollar paychecks. But now, cold cells, prison uniforms, and reputations in ruins. These 17 actors aren't just out of the spotlight, they're behind bars, serving time for crimes that shocked the world. From violent outbursts to elaborate schemes, their real-life dramas are darker than any script. This isn't your typical celeb gossip. It's the fall of icons, and every story hits harder than the last. The Dark Fall of Joseph's Son. Best known for his quirky comedic role as Random Task in Austin Powers, International Man of Mystery, Joseph's Son once had fans laughing and quoting lines from the cult classic. With a unique presence on screen, and even a brief stint as an MMA fighter, Son seemed to be building a career filled with possibility. But behind the scenes, a far more troubling story was waiting to surface, one that would shock fans and dismantle his public image for good. In 2008, Son was arrested in connection with a cold case from 1990, an unsolved attack that had haunted authorities and a survivor for nearly 2 decades. At the time of the incident, there was little evidence to tie anyone to the crime. But when Son's DNA was collected years later, due to an unrelated case, the results pointed back to that unsolved file. It was a moment of painful revelation, but also the beginning of long-awaited justice. The trial that followed revealed a disturbing picture. Testimonies and forensic evidence laid bare details that had remained hidden for years. The courtroom was filled with shock, outrage, and emotion, especially as the survivor shared how the experience had impacted her life for decades. In 2011, Joseph's Son was sentenced to life in prison. The verdict marked a definitive end to his public life, replacing his comedic legacy with a criminal record that will follow him forever. For many, Son's fall from a fan-favorite sidekick to a convicted felon serves as a chilling reminder. The past has a way of resurfacing, and no amount of fame can outrun the truth. Will Hayden's fall from fame. Will Hayden, once known as the tough, straight-talking star of Sons of Guns, built a reputation as a firearms expert and TV personality. Leading Red Jacket Firearms, he gained a loyal audience who admired his craftsmanship, leadership, and larger-than-life presence on screen. For a time, He seemed like the embodiment of passion and skill in the world of firearms and reality television. But in 2014, his public image took a dramatic turn. Allegations surfaced that led to a broader investigation, uncovering deeply troubling behavior spanning several years. What began with a single report quickly expanded, with multiple individuals coming forward and contributing to the growing case. The contrast between his TV persona and the emerging details was staggering, leaving fans and the public in disbelief. In 2017, Hayden was convicted in court following extensive testimony and evidence. He received a life sentence, and Sons of Guns was promptly canceled. The rapid fall from fame was not just a personal downfall, but also a powerful reminder that appearances can be deceiving, and that no level of fame protects someone from facing serious consequences when the truth comes to light. From spotlight to cell, the Kaalan Walker scandal. Kaalan Walker, once a promising actor and rapper, gained attention for his role in the 2018 film Superfly. With undeniable talent and a burgeoning career, he seemed poised for stardom. However, in 2018, allegations surfaced accusing Walker of exploiting his celebrity status to take advantage of aspiring models and actresses. Prosecutors asserted that he used social media platforms to lure these individuals with promises of professional opportunities, only to betray their trust. During his high-profile trial, multiple victims testified, revealing a pattern of deceit and misconduct. The court proceedings shocked both the public and the entertainment industry. In October 2022, Walker was convicted on multiple charges and sentenced to 50 years to life in prison. The entertainment community, once supportive of his ascent, swiftly distanced itself. Fans and former colleagues expressed outrage not only at Walker, but also at the systemic failures that allowed his actions to persist unchecked. His downfall serves as a stark reminder of the potential for abuse of power within the industry and underscores the importance of vigilance and accountability. The rise and fall of Zachary Horwitz. Zachary Horwitz wasn't a household name, but in Hollywood circles, he was known as a rising actor and sharp-minded entrepreneur. Under the name Zach Avery, he played the part well appearing in indie films while presenting himself as a thriving film distributor and founder of One Inim Capital. From the outside, his world looked golden, sleek luxury cars, a $6 million LA, mansion, VIP parties, and confident talk of lucrative film licensing deals with streaming giants like HBO and Netflix. Between 2014 and 2019, Horwitz managed to convince dozens of investors, many of them friends and colleagues from the entertainment world, that he was brokering international rights to major Hollywood films. The pitch was airtight, short-term loans with high returns, backed by forged contracts and confident updates. What they didn't know was that there were no real deals, no agreements with the studios, no actual profits. Behind the curtain was a $650 million Ponzi scheme. Horwitz used money from new investors to pay off earlier ones, keeping up appearances while the deception grew deeper. As the flow of new investments slowed, cracks began to show. Promised payments stalled, and uneasy questions started to emerge. In 2021, federal agents arrested Horwitz, and soon the full scale of the scheme was exposed. Court documents revealed just how elaborate the ruse had been and how much trust had been betrayed. In 2022, Horwitz was sentenced to 20 years in prison for securities fraud, ending a scheme that left hundreds of investors devastated. Michael Jace, from Badge to Bars. Michael Jace, once known for playing the conflicted officer Julian Lowy on The Shield, shocked the entertainment world in 2014 when real life took a devastating turn. On May 19, a call from Jace's Los Angeles home led police to a heartbreaking scene. His wife, April Jace, a devoted mother and respected athlete, had lost her life in a violent domestic incident. Even more tragic, their 2 young children were home at the time. Jace, who had spent years portraying a man torn between duty and emotion on screen, was suddenly at the center of a real-life courtroom drama. Prosecutors pointed to financial troubles and emotional strain as key factors. One chilling detail emerged during the trial, words spoken before the fatal act, echoing the pain and confusion that surrounded the case. In 2016, he was sentenced to 40 years in prison. From celebrated actor to inmate, Jace's fall from grace serves as a sobering reminder that behind the spotlight, hidden struggles can lead to irreversible consequences. His story is one of fame lost, lives changed, and a tragedy that left a lasting mark far beyond Hollywood. Drew Drechsel, from champion to scandal. Drew Drechsel, once hailed as a top athlete and fan favorite on American Ninja Warrior, experienced a shocking downfall that stunned fans and the wider entertainment world. In 2020, federal authorities launched an investigation after concerns arose over Drechsel's involvement in an inappropriate relationship with someone underage, which reportedly began in 2014. The situation developed over several years and eventually led to serious legal action. Digital evidence, including messages and files, was brought forward, connecting Drechsel to activities that resulted in multiple federal charges. The contrast between his energetic on-screen persona and the allegations off-camera sparked intense conversations about accountability, ethics, and the role of public figures in youth-centered media. By June 2024, Drechsel entered a guilty plea to charges involving unlawful online conduct and was sentenced to over 10 years in federal custody. He was also assigned a lengthy period of supervised release and ordered to pay financial restitution. Joe Exotic, from fame to fallout. Joe Exotic, born Joseph Maldonado Passage, rose to infamy as the eccentric, larger-than-life star of Netflix's Tiger King. With his bleach blonde mullet, flashy outfits, and a private zoo filled with big cats, he quickly became a pop culture sensation. But behind the outrageous persona and viral fame was a much darker story, one marked by obsession, rivalry, and legal chaos. In 2019, Joe's long-running feud with animal rights activist Carolee Baskin reached its peak. After years of public attacks and bitter accusations, Joe was arrested for attempting to hire someone to harm his outspoken rival. Though the plan was never carried out, it led to his swift downfall. Alongside that charge, he faced multiple counts of violating wildlife protection laws, including the unlawful handling of endangered animals. In 2020, Joe Exotic was sentenced to 22 years in prison. What began as a bizarre reality series turned into a cautionary tale about ego, vengeance, and the consequences of crossing the line. Once a reality TV icon, Joe now represents how unchecked ambition and personal grudges can spiral into life-altering consequences. Skyler Deleon, from TV to tragedy. Skyler Deleon, who once made a brief appearance on The Wonder Years, seemed poised for a promising career in entertainment. But his life took a shocking turn when he became the focus of one of California's most talked about legal cases. In 2004, Deleon and several others were involved in a scheme to gain control of a yacht owned by Thomas and Jackie Hawks. According to court testimony, Deleon approached the couple under the pretense of a sale. Once aboard, the situation escalated and the couple was pressured into transferring ownership during a distressing encounter. Evidence including forensic material and witness accounts linked Deleon directly to the plan, which officials believe was driven by financial motives. The case drew national attention due to its unexpected connection to a former child actor. In 2009, Deleon received the most serious sentence under California law. His story remains a powerful lesson. No amount of early fame can shield someone from the weight of their actions, and a single decision can change the course of a life forever. Zara Phythian, from Marvel to Courtroom. Zara Phythian, known for her role in the Doctor Strange films and celebrated for her martial arts achievements, was once seen as a symbol of strength and discipline. But in 2022, her public image shattered when she and her husband, Victor Mark, were found guilty in a high-profile legal case involving a young individual they had known for years. According to testimony, the couple developed a close relationship with the person starting at age 13, eventually leading to behavior that raised serious concerns. Investigators presented digital evidence and court statements that painted a troubling picture: broken trust and influence misused. The case stunned fans and the entertainment world, as Phythian had built a reputation for empowerment and resilience. Her conviction led to a significant prison sentence and marked a dramatic fall from grace. The story sparked wider conversations about accountability, boundaries, and the responsibilities that come with public influence. Amy Locane, A Star's Reckoning. Amy Locane, once known for her role in Melrose Place, made headlines in 2010 after a tragic incident changed the course of her life. While driving in New Jersey, Locane was involved in a serious crash that resulted in one fatality and left another person with significant injuries. Investigators later concluded that her speed and condition at the time were contributing factors. Witnesses noted that her car appeared unstable just before the impact. In court, Locane expressed deep remorse and accepted responsibility for the incident. Though initially sentenced to 3 years, the case underwent multiple legal reviews, with her sentence later adjusted to reflect the severity of the situation. Her story serves as a reminder of how one moment of poor judgment can carry lasting consequences. Once admired for her screen presence, Locane's journey now underscores the importance of caution and responsibility while behind the wheel. Jen Shah, Glamour to Guilt. Jen Shah, the bold and stylish personality from the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, was once known for her designer looks and lavish lifestyle. But in 2021, her reality changed when she faced serious federal charges in a nationwide case that stunned fans and shook the world of reality TV. Authorities alleged that Shah led a large-scale business operation that involved thousands of individuals, including seniors, who were misled into investing in services that did not deliver as promised. Digital evidence and multiple witness statements connected her directly to the case. Though she initially denied any wrongdoing, Shah later entered a guilty plea. In 2022, she was sentenced to 6.5 years in prison. Once celebrated for her confidence and glamour, she now stands as a reminder of how fame can be misdirected and how important it is to balance ambition with integrity. Shannon Richardson, From Screen Roles to Scandal. Shannon Richardson, once a familiar face in hit shows like The Walking Dead and The Vampire Diaries, seemed to be carving a steady path through Hollywood's supporting cast. Known for her background roles and rising presence, she was a name viewers were beginning to recognize. But in 2013, Richardson's name would make headlines for reasons far removed from film sets and red carpets. In a case that stunned the nation, Richardson was arrested for mailing threatening letters to high-profile political figures, including then-President Barack Obama and New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg. The letters contained a dangerous substance that triggered immediate federal investigations and public alarm. Authorities moved swiftly, sparking a media frenzy and national concern over how such an act could originate from someone within the entertainment world. Initially, Richardson claimed innocence and attempted to place the blame on her then-husband. However, investigators uncovered overwhelming evidence, digital data, fingerprints, and communication records, all tracing back to her. It was a dramatic turn of events, transforming an aspiring actress into the center of a highly publicized criminal case. In July 2014, she was sentenced to 18 years in federal prison. For fans and colleagues alike, the news was almost surreal, a Hollywood hopeful caught up in a federal security case. Her story stands as one of the most jarring examples of how fame, even at the edge of the spotlight, can take a dark and unexpected turn. It's a cautionary tale about the power of decisions, the weight of accountability, and how quickly the spotlight can shift from fame to infamy. Ryan Grantham, From Screen to Silence. Ryan Grantham, once a rising young actor recognized for roles in Riverdale and Diary of a Wimpy Kid, had the hallmarks of a bright future in Hollywood. With a growing resume and youthful appeal, he was steadily making a name for himself. But in 2020, that promising path took a dark and tragic turn when he was taken into custody following the unexpected loss of his mother, Barbara Waite, in their British Columbia home. Investigators later discovered a video Grantham had recorded detailing the incident, sparking immediate national attention and raising serious questions about his mental health and emotional state at the time. As the case unfolded, even more disturbing details emerged. Authorities found that Grantham had mapped out a plan to travel to Ottawa with concerning intentions toward Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. In his vehicle, they discovered camping supplies, weapons, and printed directions. Though he ultimately abandoned the plan and turned himself in, the revelation sent shockwaves across the country and left many stunned at how far the situation had escalated before intervention occurred. In court, the defense highlighted Grantham's ongoing mental health struggles, but the severity of his actions weighed heavily in sentencing. In 2022, he received a life sentence with no chance of parole for 14 years. His fall from rising talent to convicted prisoner remains one of the most sobering stories in Canadian entertainment, underscoring the dangers of unchecked emotional turmoil and the vital need for early mental health support. Jared Fogle, From Spokesman to Scandal. Jared Fogle, once a symbol of personal transformation, became a national figure through his widely celebrated weight loss journey and high-profile role as the face of Subway. Known for losing over 200 pounds, he inspired millions through commercials, public speaking, and school visits, often praised for turning adversity into motivation. However, in 2015, that image collapsed. What began with a tip from a colleague led to a full federal investigation. Authorities uncovered disturbing digital evidence that revealed a stark contrast between Fogle's public persona and private behavior. The findings raised serious ethical and legal concerns. In court, prosecutors presented a detailed timeline supported by electronic records and witness statements. Fogle ultimately pleaded guilty and expressed remorse. He was sentenced to over 15 years in federal prison, bringing an abrupt end to his once admired public role. Jared Fogle's fall from grace serves as a powerful reminder: public image can be deceiving, and unchecked influence can hide troubling realities. His story is a cautionary tale about the gap between perception and truth and the importance of accountability, no matter the platform. Harvey Weinstein, Hollywood's fall from power. Harvey Weinstein, once one of the most powerful figures in Hollywood, was known for producing critically acclaimed films and building an empire through his company, Miramax. With a string of Oscar-winning projects and A-list connections, He seemed untouchable until 2017, when his legacy took a dramatic and irreversible turn. That year, multiple actresses and former employees came forward, sharing accounts that exposed a troubling pattern of abuse of power. Court testimonies and internal communications painted a picture of a man who used influence and intimidation to control those around him, creating an environment built on fear and silence. In 2020, following highly publicized legal proceedings, Weinstein was sentenced to 23 years in prison. His fall not only rocked the entertainment world, but also became a major catalyst for the global Me Too movement, empowering countless others to speak out. What was once seen as a symbol of Hollywood success is now remembered as a turning point in the industry's reckoning with accountability and justice. Todd and Julie Chrisley, Glamour and Consequences. Todd and Julie Chrisley, stars of Chrisley Knows Best, were once adored for their over-the-top lifestyle, quick wit, and picture-perfect family image. Their reality show showcased luxury, laughter, and Southern charm, captivating millions of viewers. But in 2022, the glamorous facade came crashing down. Following a detailed federal investigation, the couple was found guilty of orchestrating an elaborate financial scheme. Prosecutors revealed that Todd and Julie had submitted falsified documents to secure millions in loans, all to maintain their lavish lifestyle. Testimony from bank employees and a trail of digital evidence exposed the extent of the deception. Despite Todd's claims of innocence throughout the trial, the court handed down a sentence of 12 years for him and 7 years for Julie. The case marked a dramatic fall from grace, transforming the Chrisleys from reality TV royalty into a cautionary tale about financial dishonesty. Their story now stands as a reminder that behind the sparkle of fame, the truth always finds its way to the surface. Allison Mack, From Heroin to Handcuffs. Allison Mack, best known for her role as the smart and loyal Chloe Sullivan on Smallville, was once a fan favorite and a rising star in television. Audiences admired her intelligence, warmth, and charm on-screen qualities that made her character unforgettable. But behind the scenes, Mack's real-life journey took a dark and shocking turn that no one saw coming. In 2018, the world was stunned when Mack was arrested for her involvement in NXIVM, self-help organization that was later exposed as a manipulative and dangerous cult. While the group promoted personal growth on the surface, it was revealed to be operating under far more disturbing intentions. Mack used her celebrity status and influence to help recruit young women into the group, presenting it as an opportunity for mentorship and empowerment. Instead, these women found themselves trapped in a highly controlling network led by NXIVM's founder, Keith Rainier. During the investigation, authorities uncovered messages, emails, and personal accounts that revealed Mack's deeper role in the organization. She was accused of helping to manage a secret subgroup where recruits were subjected to extreme psychological control, and some were even marked with symbols tied to the group's leadership. In court, Mack expressed remorse and took responsibility for her part in the system that misled and harmed others. In 2021, she was sentenced to 3 years in prison. While many were surprised by the relatively short sentence, the case served as a major moment of reckoning for how fame and power can be weaponized in manipulative ways. Mack's fall from grace remains one of the most unexpected stories in recent Hollywood history. Welcome back to the channel. Over the years, we've taken deep dives into the untold stories of musicians, YouTubers, wrestlers, and even law enforcement, peeling back the curtain to reveal the jaw-dropping truths behind their picture-perfect lives. And now, by popular demand, we're turning the spotlight on Hollywood. Today, we're diving into the dark side of fame, exposing the shocking scandals, twisted secrets, and chilling downfalls of actors who've taken the ultimate fall from grace. Buckle up, this one's going to be a wild ride. Joe Sun may not be a household name, but to fans of the 1997 cult comedy Austin Powers, International Man of Mystery, he is best known as Random Task, a comedic parody of the classic James Bond villain Oddjob. Born in South Korea in 1970 and raised in California, Sun found his calling in martial arts, eventually developing his own hybrid style known as Jo Sun Do. His impressive physique and unique fighting techniques drew attention from the start, even earning him a spot in the early days of the UFC, although his only appearance at UFC FV 4 ended in defeat. With his combination of athleticism and comedic timing, he briefly transitioned into acting, landing his most notable role in Austin Powers, where his character's weapon of choice, a throwing shoe, became a fan-favorite running gag. But Sun's time in the spotlight wouldn't last. In 2008, more than a decade after his big screen debut, Jo Sun's life took a dark and unexpected turn. He was arrested on a misdemeanor charge, but during the booking process, his DNA was matched to evidence from a brutal 1990 gang attack that had remained unsolved for nearly 2 decades. The news shocked the public and painted a much darker picture of the man behind the comedic role. Things only got worse. While serving his sentence, Jo Sun was involved in a deadly brawl with his cellmate, Michael Thomas Graham, and in 2017, he was convicted of second-degree assault. The conviction tarnished his reputation not as a fighter or an actor, but as a violent criminal. Danny Masterson rose to fame in the early 2000s as Stephen Hyde, the laid-back, sharp-witted rebel on the hit sitcom That 70s Show. With his deadpan humor and effortless cool, Masterson quickly became a fan favorite, helping the show become a pop culture staple. Born in 1976 in Long Island, New York, he started his career young, appearing in commercials before transitioning to TV and film. Outside of acting, Masterson also found success as a DJ under the name DJ Mom Jeans, gaining attention for his offbeat style and charm. But behind the scenes, troubling allegations would eventually unravel his public image. In the early 2000s, multiple women came forward accusing Masterson of sexual misconduct, with incidents dating back to between 2001 and 2003. As the Me Too movement gained momentum in 2017, the case drew widespread media attention, especially given Masterson's connection to the Church of Scientology. Critics and accusers claimed the organization worked to silence victims and cover up the allegations, raising concerns about power, influence, and justice in Hollywood. While Masterson continued to work most notably in Netflix's The Ranch, public pressure mounted. In 2020, he was officially charged, though he maintained the encounters were consensual. The trial began in 2023, and emotional testimony from the victims laid bare the immense psychological toll they endured, shedding light on the many challenges survivors face when confronting influential figures. In May 2023, Masterson was convicted on 2 of 3 counts, and by September, he was sentenced to 30 years to life in prison. The case became a defining moment in Hollywood's ongoing reckoning with abuse, accountability, and power. Shannon Richardson, a name once familiar to fans of hit shows like The Walking Dead and The Vampire Diaries, was on her way to becoming a standout in Hollywood's supporting cast. But behind the red carpets and camera flashes, a much darker story was unfolding. In 2013, the rising actress made headlines for all the wrong reasons when she was arrested in a chilling criminal case that shocked both Hollywood and Washington. Richardson was charged with sending letters laced with the deadly toxin ricin to then-President Barack Obama, New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg, and other high-profile figures. the nation was stunned. What started as an anonymous threat quickly became a high-priority investigation once authorities uncovered the poison letters. The act wasn't just dangerous, it was calculated and deeply disturbing. When caught, Richardson tried to pin the blame on her husband, but the evidence was overwhelming. Her fingerprints, her computer data, her plan. In July 2014, she was sentenced to 18 years in federal prison. Jeffrey Jones may not be a household name, but his face is etched in pop culture history. With standout roles in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Beetlejuice, and Amadeus, Jones became known for playing eccentric, often authoritative characters with a perfect balance of humor and edge. Trained at the London Academy of Music and Dramatic Art, he built a steady career through the 80s and 90s, becoming a favorite among directors like Tim Burton. Whether portraying the laughably strict Principal Rooney or the quirky Charles Dietz, Jones had a gift for stealing scenes and leaving a lasting impression. But behind the acclaim was a dark chapter waiting to unfold. In 2002, Jones's career took a dramatic turn when he was arrested on charges related to inappropriate conduct with a minor. The investigation uncovered disturbing evidence, sending shockwaves through Hollywood. A year later, Jones pled guilty, receiving 5 years probation, mandatory counseling, and lifetime registration as a sex offender. The revelation not only stunned fans and colleagues, it effectively ended his career. Following the scandal, the once celebrated character actor saw his roles dry up. Studios distanced themselves, and audiences struggled to separate the actor from his actions. Though his earlier performances had earned him a respected place in film history, the severity of his crimes overshadowed everything. Shelley Malil may not be a household name, but fans of the 2005 comedy hit The 40-Year-Old Virgin will remember him for his standout performance as Hayes, an eccentric, witty co-worker who provided some of the film's most memorable comedic moments. Born in 1964 in Kerala, India, Malil moved to the United States as a child and grew up in Texas, where he developed a passion for acting through local theater. In the early 90s, he moved to Hollywood, facing a difficult path in an industry where few Indian American actors had a chance. However, his talent and perseverance earned him roles on major television shows like NYPD Blue, The West Wing, and Scrubs. But it was The 40-Year-Old Virgin that really put him on the map, sharing screen time with rising stars like Steve Carell, Paul Rudd, and Seth Rogen. While the film propelled many of his co-stars to A-list status, Malil's career took a nosedive, and in 2008, his career came to a violent and tragic end. On August 10 of that year, he shocked the public by brutally attacking his ex-girlfriend, Kendra Beebe, at her home in San Marcos, California. She survived the attack, but suffered severe physical and mental trauma. The incident marked a dark and irreversible turn in Malil's life, erasing any trace of his comedic on-screen persona and leaving the world stunned by the contrast between his public image and his private actions. Neighbors called the police after hearing the commotion, and Malil was quickly arrested and charged with attempted murder and assault with a deadly weapon. During the trial, prosecutors painted a picture of a calculated and brutal attack, arguing that Beebe's injuries reflected a level of intentionality that was frightening. Malil, who claimed he had lost control in a fit of rage, was eventually convicted in 2010 and sentenced to 12 years to life in prison. Michael Jace was once a respected character actor, best known for his gripping portrayal of LAPD officer Julian Lowe on the critically acclaimed TV series The Shield. With a commanding presence and a quiet intensity, Jace often played characters who carried authority and emotional weight. He had a small but memorable role in Forrest Gump, 1994, showcasing his range early on, but it was The Shield beginning in 2002 that cemented his status in Hollywood. His portrayal of a devout, conflicted police officer earned praise for its depth and complexity, and Jace was widely recognized for bringing authenticity and vulnerability to the screen. Behind the scenes, however, Jace's personal life was unraveling. Despite his on-screen success, he faced mounting financial difficulties, filing for bankruptcy in 2011 with debts exceeding $500,000. These pressures, combined with ongoing tension in his marriage to April Jace, created a volatile home environment. Then, on May 19, 2014, that tension exploded into tragedy. In a fit of rage, Jace fatally shot his wife at their Los Angeles home, an act of violence witnessed by their 2 young children. The crime sent shockwaves through both the entertainment industry and the public, as fans struggled to reconcile the actor they admired with the man behind the headlines. After his arrest, Jace confessed to the shooting during a chilling 911 call. Prosecutors presented a strong case during his 2016 trial, revealing a history of domestic abuse and arguing that the murder was not just impulsive, but calculated. While the defense claimed emotional distress drove his actions, the jury convicted Jace. He was sentenced to 40 years to life in prison. The tragedy devastated his family, particularly his sons, who effectively lost both parents in one horrific night. Michael Jace's story stands as a heartbreaking reminder of how unchecked emotional turmoil and personal demons can destroy lives, even those once illuminated by fame. Ryan Grantham was once considered a rising star in Canadian film and television. Born in 1998 in British Columbia, he began acting at a young age and quickly gained attention for his expressive acting. His early roles included shows like Supernatural, Zombie, and Unspeakable. He also appeared in the beloved family film Diary of a Wimpy Kid as Rodney James, a minor but memorable character. But behind the scenes, Grantham's life was falling apart. He reportedly struggled with severe mental health issues, including depression and anxiety, which began to affect his relationships and cloud his outlook on the future. Those close to him noticed that he became increasingly withdrawn, had erratic behavior, and showed signs of emotional distress. As his internal struggles grew, they began to overshadow his career. Tragically, those battles came to a head on March 31, 2020, when Grantham committed a horrific act. He shot and killed his mother, Barbara Waite, at their home in Squamish, British Columbia. After the incident, he loaded his car with weapons and supplies, allegedly planning to continue the violence by targeting Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Fortunately, he changed his route and turned himself into police, confessing to the crime. Grantham's arrest and the disturbing details that followed shocked the public and shone a light on the dangers of untreated mental illness. In 2022, he went on trial for second-degree murder. Prosecutors presented evidence that the crime was premeditated, including video recordings and journal entries in which he rehearsed the crime. The defense argued that Grantham's mental state, particularly his depression and disconnect from reality, played a major role in the tragedy. Despite expressing remorse, Grantham was convicted and sentenced to life in prison, with the possibility of parole after 14 years. Skyler Deleon, born on August 12, 1979 in Sun Valley, California, once dreamed of stardom. As a child actor, he landed a small role in the beloved TV series Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, but his time in the spotlight was brief. As the roles dried up and the dream faded, Deleon found himself struggling financially and emotionally. The pressures of adulthood, coupled with the frustration of a failed Hollywood career, began to take a toll, and slowly, his ambitions twisted into something far darker, driven not by fame, but by desperation and greed. In 2004, Deleon, along with his wife Jennifer Henderson and 2 accomplices John Fitzgerald Kennedy and Alonzo McCain, carried out a horrifying plan. Posing as interested buyers, they lured retired couple Thomas and Jackie Hawks aboard their yacht, the well-deserved, under the pretense of purchasing it. Once out at sea, the group attacked the Hawks, forced them to sign over ownership of the boat, and then carried out an unthinkable act. They tied the couple to an anchor and threw them overboard, alive. The case made national headlines, with the sheer cruelty of the act horrifying the public. In 2008, Skyler Deleon was sentenced to death for the murders of Thomas and Jackie Hawks, while his accomplices also received lengthy prison sentences. What began as a pursuit of fame ended in infamy, and Deleon's story now stands as a haunting example of how far unchecked greed and personal failure can drive someone. The pain left behind for the Hawks family is immeasurable, a tragic reminder of the real human cost behind such monstrous actions. Born in Des Moines, Iowa, in 1947, Stephen Collins pursued acting from a young age, honing his craft at prestigious institutions and establishing himself on stage before making the leap to film and television. His ability to shift effortlessly between dramatic and comedic roles helped him stand out in Hollywood, earning parts in notable films like Star Trek, The Motion Picture, Jumpin' Jack Flash, and The First Wives Club. By the mid-1990s, Collins had become a respected and familiar face in the industry. But it was in 1996, with the premiere of Seventh Heaven, that he reached household name status. On Seventh Heaven, Collins played Reverend Eric Camden, the moral and